Hey, man, do your jobs. That was an embarrassment of a press conference yesterday. It was utterly an embarrassment. Bob Lang and the Eagles have taken the Philadelphia media's balls and has put them in his back pocket. You have no balls. Not one question asked about the most explosive player in Philadelphia Eagle history as a wide receiver. Nobody had the fucking sack to ask the question about A.J. Brown in any way. What a lack of balls. Any question would have been cool. Hey, Sean, what do you think life's going to look like without A.J. Brown in it? Hey, Sean, what about the fact that Devonta Smith has to take A.J.'s role? What does he give that maybe A.J. didn't have? Nothing. It was a lame-ass interview, and it was another sign of weakness. And just to assume because he's gone and not to do your job because the Philadelphia media has lost their balls, it's another sign that the Philadelphia Eagles own the media. Not one fucking question about a guy you want to get a first-round draft choice for. I'm not asking you to ask Sean Mannion what he thinks is going to happen June 1. That's a Howie Roseman question. This is fucking absurd. You have nobody in that market that does their job. And all they do is take marching orders from Bob Lang. That is absolutely unbecoming of what a market I used to respect as a media side. You've completely lost your balls. You don't work for the Philadelphia Eagles, guys. You're there for your listeners and your viewers and your readers. They've lost that number one concept of journalism. They don't fucking work for you, man. They work for them now. I mean, how about this? You mean to tell me somebody couldn't have the balls to ask the question? Hey, Sean, it's not an over-the-top question. What do you think the offense is going to look like, and how are you preparing life without AJ? That's not a fair question. You can't ask that fair question. Get this. Everyone's moved on. Okay, fine. Ask Sean Mannion. How are you preparing to move on from your number one player in the offense the last 5 years? Nobody had the balls to ask the new guy the most important question in the building? Wow. Let me tell you something. The people in here that defend that, you have no idea how to cover a fucking football team. You have no idea what it means to be a guy who has covered it, talked about it, and dealt with it. You have no idea. And I will not be talking the rest of the day to those idiots because I'm not getting into a debate on people doing their jobs. That is not happening. Ridiculous. Don't ever tell me my style is out if that's the new style. Kissing Bob Lang's ass. Dude, kissing their ass means you work for them. Means you put their narrative out. Which means they're not covering the team for you. They're covering the team for the Eagles. Which means you never get the truth. Facts. They don't work for you. They work for the team. And it was on display yesterday. Oh, not one question about a guy you're going to get a first-round pick back from. Not one question. And get this. even if you are moving on, which you are, how are you preparing for that, Sean? No one's heard you talking. That's the first time we heard him. When Sean Mannion got this job, he didn't get this job with the notion that he wasn't get there and that he wasn't going to be there. So asking Mannion about Brown is a lose-lose. Mannion replies, at this time, AJ's on the team. Then the Eagles get pissed and make his job difficult. Bald, I'm not asking you to tell me about his status. I'm asking you, how are you preparing? Or how about this? How about this question? Would you have asked the offensive coordinator if he's going to be there at OTAs in 4 days? Is A.J. Brown going to be at OTAs in 4 days? I listened to the entire presser. I didn't hear anything about A.J. Is he going to be there? Because if he's still on the team, Bald Eagle, then I want to know if he's going to be there. Wow. Philadelphia media. Boom. You've been snipped. You have no balls. 0 balls. 0. We're going to go over what he said. I listened to it. You was looking for an AJ question? No, I was looking for the offensive coordinator to tell me what the offense is going to look like if somebody said, hey, first and foremost, is AJ going to be at OTAs? No, he's not. Because if he's a member of the team, why not? Why not? I would have asked Mannion about AJ because I would have been at the presser for the fuck shit. They only got like one question each. Why waste your question on that? That's a question for Howie. No, it's not. How is the fucking offense going to look in your mind without AJ? Is that a Howie Roseman question? And if it is, Howie Roseman should be the new OC. Sills, you go the other way when you interview Mannion. Howie said AJ's an Eagle, so you ask Mannion, how does AJ fit into this very crowded room? Sure. Absolutely, Bob. Absolutely. The biggest story in Philadelphia right now is not what the new offensive coordinator is going to do. It's what's going to happen with AJ in about 8 days. Get this, an unproductive question to ask the brand new coordinator, how are you going to prepare the new offense without A.J. Brown? Is an unproductive question? Don't you want to know that? You don't want to know what your offense is going to look like without AJ in it and how the coordinator visions it? Well, then what the fuck are you talking about? Holy cow. It's a non-productive question asking what the new offense in the offensive coordinator's mind, what that vision looks like, is an unproductive one? Wow, are you an ass kisser? Philly media has become some Marcus Hayes weird shit. A.J. Brown is getting traded. Why let him know our offensive scheme? What do you mean? What do you mean your scheme? How is your football? He answered every single. You don't know what asking the right questions is because you people don't do it for a living. I'm not even talking about trading. It's crazy how these guys continue to cope when the writing has been on the wall for months. And then ask the question, hey, Sean, how do you see your offense without AJ in it? Sills, Giants are stupid. They extended Joe Schoen. I saw that. Doubt the Philadelphia Eagles are trying to match what AJ brings to the table. It's going to look different. Well, how is it going to look different? I like to hear his vision. Because, David, he doesn't have a playbook. It's only vision. Sean Mannion has done nothing except win you over in a press conference. That's not good enough. He's just won you over in a presser. That's not the point. I'm talking about the future. I'll tell you, okay. We already know he's gone. No shit. Ask about AJ's irrelevant. I'm not asking about AJ. I'm asking about how your fucking offense is going to look without him, Sean. How do you vision it? And if he's still a member of the Eagles, how does he fit into a crowded room? Man, I'm not sure you understand how it works. And now I'm getting a really good sense you don't. Wow. Don't you understand? That press conference was a setup to make Mannion look good instead of answering true questions about what it was going to look like moving forward. It was a setup from the beginning. Big Sills, you think Hurts will be a weapon, this new offense? Also, how do you think Saquon will do? Listen, I learned nothing yesterday. I learned nothing. And we're going to talk about him in a minute. Mannion has to explain himself to the organization, not us. Well, then, do me a favor. Don't put a media presser out there like that. Then what's the sense of having a staged? That's staged. That's a staged press conference. Then don't do them. It's staged. The Eagles staged that and set the deck. Then don't do those. Those are non-needed. That was a set-up press conference. Set up by the PR department. Can you imagine walking into a room and telling people, this is the questions we're going to ask. We want you to stay away from these. Who the fuck are you? I work for the Inquirer, not for the Eagles. Oh, wait. Grab that guy's credential. Yeah. It's a set-up press conference. Who do you trust more, Mannion or Parker? I don't know, man. It's a tough one. Sills, I thought the presser was set up to cover up Nolan Smith. CP and Mannion both have never called the play. Yeah. They both have to prove themselves. I agree. Sean Mannion didn't win nobody over. He's a Philadelphia Eagle this year, so I got to stand behind that. Nobody's asking you not to. Okay? Did you stand behind Kevin Patullo last year? Parker has way more experience and success, correct? Let us be excited about Mannion saying the right things and appearing confident, okay? I'm not upset with Sean Mannion. I'm upset with the Eagles setting the press conference up. Sean Mannion didn't do anything wrong. The media people did. It wasn't Sean Mannion's fault. They didn't want him to fail in the presser by asking tough A.J. Brown questions that he might not have answers for. They didn't want him to think on his feet, so they set the room up for him. Are you that dumb? Are you that dumb? Sills, remember your first interview on live? Yeah. I wouldn't be judging people. Those are experienced fucking media people in that room. Those aren't first-year interns out of Villanova. I'm not going to people today that validate that because that was a shit show. That's fair. I don't need our reporters to grill, man. Listen, no. What do you mean you don't need? Don't tell a guy how to do his job. Nobody would like you to tell you how to do your job, would they? Are you fucking kidding me? My first question, Sean, when you got the job and you were interviewing for the job, AJ was still a member of the football team. Now that he's not here, has that changed your approach in building the new playbook? You wouldn't want to know that? Here, Marshall misses the complete point. Okay? I appreciate him. I personally don't care if you talk about AJ every freaking day. I'm literally exhausted with AJ. I'm not talking about fucking AJ. I'm talking about Mannion and his new offense without him. Jesus Christ. How are you not seeing this? I could give a shit about AJ Brown right now. You're not getting it, dude. I don't care about AJ Brown. I don't care. Sills, that's a reasonable question. How's the offense look like now? How come here's the thing too. Not one iota about the guy. Not one iota. It's a setup. They were told, how about this? They were told at the beginning of the presser, don't bring AJ's name up. Bob Lane controlled the environment and controlled the press conference. Everything that was done in that press conference was set up by the Eagles to make your boy look good. Plain and simple. Once again, you're missing the point. How can you trust anything that comes out of that place moving forward? Marshall, how can you trust anything moving forward on anything they say or do when they constantly set things up? If he's not part of the team, then even why? Guys, you don't think this is a question. When you got the job, Sean, AJ was part of the offense. Now that he's not part of the offense, how have you changed and how have you maneuvered around that? What do you look at now and what will be the changes without AJ Brown? You don't think that's a fair question? He initially got the job with AJ being here. Man, you know what? It's a soft-ass society today. You have no nuggets, no balls, no nuggets, and you don't do your jobs. And you placate to teams, and you kiss their ass, and when they kiss your ass, they can do whatever they want to you. If you don't stand up for yourself, you will never stand up for anything in your life. Sills, did you see the Charger owner's private plane was spotted in Philadelphia airport? AJ to the Chargers possibility? That's one of the teams. I mean, wow. Man. Under the NFL's official media access policy, teams are strictly prohibited from pre-screening questions. Hold on for a minute. Dude, hold on. Are you think that that's a real thing? There was not one AJ Brown fucking question asked. My God almighty. My God. Man. Unbelievable. Promise you, anybody defending that, I have no conversation today with that. None. Everyone knows he's not part of the team. That's not, you're missing the point. How can you trust anything they say when they set the press conference up? How can you say and trust anything that comes out of that place? Sills, they did give T-ball questions, but I didn't have a problem with Sean. I did not. No. They made his life easy for him. Cutthroat? No. I want you to do your job. Cutthroat? No. Sills, we look great right now. Why we can't talk about? What do you mean you look great right now? How the fuck do you look great right now on May 22nd? What do you mean you look great? Why, because he won you over in words? You got to be kidding, guy. We love that place that won a Super Bowl, Sills. You forgot. You're so right, Danny. Eagle fans are stupid. They don't get this. Of course they don't get it. They think I'm ripping Sean Mannion. I'm not. I'm not ripping him. Sills, it's frustrating to watch you try to take this topic off the first floor. They don't get it. They don't get it. They just don't get it. I'm not talking about Mannion, and I'm not even talking about AJ Brown. I agree. Laurie's soft about being honest with the media. He hired Bob Lang to have our guys go as little substance in pressers, basically saying nothing for 10 minutes. Dude, I'm going to get to Sean Mannion here. There were some things that I heard that most people didn't, of course, because they've got their one blinder on or earmuff on, and blinder probably, because, again, that's just what they are. And again, I haven't read this yet. I'm not ripping Mannion. I'm not ripping AJ. Nothing. Let me see what he says. Sills, we don't care to hear about AJ anymore. I'm not talking about AJ. We can agree to disagree. Okay, I'm not talking about AJ. Take this. I'm even going to burn his jersey. Fine. He's a complete nobody to me as far as me being an Eagle fan. Why is that complicated? I'm not talking about this. You're talking about a completely different topic. I have no interest in it either. I don't care whether or not he's here or not. That's not my point. I wanted to know more about what Sean Mannion thought about him not being here. And how he's going to build this offense that was prolific for 5 years and got you to 2 Super Bowls and won one. That's all, Marsh. I thought maybe you'd be interested in how the new offensive coordinator that's never called a play is going to have an offense without one of the most productive players in team history. But since you're not interested in that, I understand. You're not interested in knowing one of the most explosive players in team history on how he's going to put a new offense together, never calling plays. You're not interested in that. Okay. Sills just wants the reporters to ask questions everyone wants an honest answer about. That's it. That's it, Brandon. No more, no less. I don't care what Sean Mannion thinks of AJ not being here. I'm going to know what he thinks about his offense with him not being here. That's it. How are you going to go forward? By the way, Marsh, thanks for the super. Sills, give me a quarterback that may finish the year other than Hurts. I think he finishes. Sills, give me a quarterback that may finish the year other than Hurts. I don't think he finishes. Hey, clarify that, brother, and I'll put it back up. What do you mean finishes? You think somebody else on the Eagles will finish up for the team? Other than Sean talking about his process of playing and learning to coach in the process, he sounded like Kevin Petula for 80% of the interview. Yeah. I didn't hear anything different to Kevin Petula last year. He just sounded more confident. There was nothing in that press conference from a year ago. What I heard this morning, having listened to it, sounded like Kevin Petula 2.0, but a little more confident. I didn't hear anything different. Hurts won't play the whole year. I'm not going there with that. He's been pretty successful at being healthy. Okay? All right. Same old Danny? Thank God. Thank God. Thank you for the compliment. Means a lot to me. Because I'll never be this new bullshit. I'll never be these kiss asses you have now. You're damn right. I will never kiss someone's ass like that. That is so embarrassing. Having somebody dictate your job to you, telling you how to do your job, is fucking embarrassing. Holy shit. You don't even get a paycheck from them. I mean, good God. Salesman, what is the topic? Sick of this Mannion Brown shit. You leave the topics to me, kid, and the content to me. I got it. Niggas had a big influence on his coaching already. Nick has had a big influence on his coaching already. Coaching guys in shorts and helmets and not in-game. I heard the same shit from Kevin Petullo. Nick's had a big influence on my career. I heard Kevin Petullo taking victory laps down in South Florida. All right. That was embarrassing. Embarrassing of a press conference. It was staged. It was set up. And it was embarrassing. To say the least. One of the most embarrassing things I've seen by a city I respected media-wise. No way, man. These people don't. Hey, WIP, Spike Eskin says that WIP's in a better shape than they were before. Really? Hey, Spike, you got a bunch of brown-nosers over there, bro. That's a brown-nosing radio station. It's the king of brown-nosing. That's brown-nosing. All right. Sean Mannion. Here's my takeaway from Sean Mannion. Hit the like button. Appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you. Poof. Let's go to Mannion. All right. I heard all the Nick Sirianni cliches. What is it? Vision. Play with physicality. I heard all the Nick Sirianni cliches. Play smart. Play the Eagle way. It was basically an echo chamber on that. Not very impressed. Because, again, it was taken out of the Nick Sirianni playbook. He sounded like Nick, but better, actually. He's talking about, somebody did ask the question, how are you going to take what they've done and what they're doing now? And I took away from, well, we're going to blend our new vision and what they've done, and we're going to try to come up with a ability to put our players in a winning position. Here's something that I did take away. So let me get this right. In the hiring process of Sean Mannion, Howie, Jeffrey Lurie, and Nick were in the interview process for hiring Sean Mannion. What's the general manager and the owner in the process of hiring Nick Sirianni's head coach for? You think that Clark Hunt is in a room with Andy Reid if he wants to hire a new wide receiver coach? Or a new coordinator? You think that Stan Kroenke is in a building with Sean McVay if he wants to hire a new OC? You think that Jed York is sitting in a room if Kyle Shanahan wants to hire an OC? That's absurd. That's absurd. The owner and the general manager are in the room in the hiring process of the guy who's never called plays before. Really? Wow. So the owner, I heard it out of Mannion's mouth. When I met them at this, what was it? East West Shrine? Jeffrey Lurie, Howie, and Nick were part of the interview process for me becoming the new OC. That's right. Shit, Jed York just shows up at the owners' meetings. He's not in fucking meetings. with Kyle Shanahan? What's the owner doing involved in the hiring of an offensive coordinator? So the owner is that involved in the hiring of assistant coaches? I thought Nick picks these guys. I heard Sean Mannion say the owner and the GM were involved in the hiring process. Well, if that's the case, Nick doesn't do this. I'm hiring that guy. And the other two say no, he's still hiring him? Get the fuck out of here. Okay. That's interesting. Nick makes all the hires, yet the owner's in the process. Okay. Seals, why are you acting surprised about them being involved? Remember, Nick is a caboose, and his winning is from the talent and the experience coaching. That's why nobody respects Nick. I know. Dude, if that guy had that win percentage and had all the equity people say, the only guy in the room is the head coach hiring somebody. Not his boys, his GM and his owner. If you respect somebody enough, you respect their decision making. Nick, go hire. I don't need to be there. I trust you. Or there's one other one. Those guys are just without a doubt meddling. Damn, dude. Let me tell you something. Jerry Jones was never in a room when Jimmy, you know how I know that? Every single one of those coaches he brought from Miami coached me. Jerry didn't hire them. It was the initial meeting and great with Mannion. Dude, initial meeting even is more obnoxious. Wouldn't it be the final meeting, if anything? You want your owner there? I mean, who gives a shit? All right. Who made the hire? Jerry never signed off on anything Jimmy Johnson did. Don't get it twisted. Jerry thinks he is a draft expert. That's why meddlesome as it gets. Yeah, and that's why they haven't won. Seals, you're trying to have us hate. I'm not. No. On what? Pointing out what I heard? This is the shit he said. I didn't say this. What are you talking about? So AJ didn't get coached right with the Eagles offense. Until these days, AJ never goes up to make high catches. So they lead to corners catched up and forced drops. Review the tape. That's trying to undermine AJ Brown. Jimmy Johnson interviews. He didn't place. Nick almost just a mascot for the GM and owner, and the coordinators actually in charge of X's and O's. A meet and greet? Don't you want your owner there for the final close? Okay. Eagle Nation, you have more power than you know. As the paying customer, this front office is obsessed with public perception. especially from you. Stop eating shit. They'll stop serving it. Was Sills calling out the Boston media for their silence on the Vrabel story? I haven't heard any silence up there. As a matter of fact, it's a drumbeat. I know Dan Shaughnessy and the folks at the Globe and at the Herald are all over this every day. Every day. All right, let's go to the next one. Makai Lemon. I think it's good. The kid works hard. But here's what I heard. And I know you guys heard something completely different. He works hard. He's diligent. He wants to be great. He prepares well. Well, congratulations. Thank you for not robbing a bank. I'm very happy to see that. That you're drafting and you're evaluating of the kid. That's turned out to be true so far. Congratulations. How big of a backslap do you want on that? That the Eagle front office and the evaluation did their gigs? That the kid works hard? I'm supposed to give you kudos for that? Okay. I suppose. Congratulations. That's not impressive. That's this. Players don't. I mean, that stuff's stupid. I didn't hear a single praise by Mannion of Hurts's procession of football and IQ. I think you meaning processing. That's okay. I did hear unique qualities, which he does have. Okay. Okay. Dude, it's unbecoming. And Makai Lemon, you know, when they were talking about him, I'm really happy that the guy you drafted works hard, is prepared, wants to be good, and is looking forward to how he fits in his new offense. Isn't that wild? He talked about how Makai Lemon will fit in a new offense, but he never talked about A.J. Brown being involved in the offense, even though he is an Eagle right now. Or maybe he's not. I'll never know because I couldn't get any clarity on that today or yesterday. I didn't get any clarity on that because nobody did their job. Yeah. He didn't even mention AJ. Here's another one. What's his name? Ryan Mahaffey, the new run coordinator. He's like, yeah, you know, get this. Hear what he said? We're all going to have a say in the run game. So you're going to have a run game, and your run game is going to be by committee on how you approach the run game. And so everyone, including Nick, has got a say in the run game. Well, that is a difference than from Jeff Stoutland. Now you got more voices involved in the run game and not Stoutland. Okay. Okay. So now you've got more voices and more people are going to have their input in the run game. Is that correct? More inexperienced people. And people who were fired last year, Grizzard, Cooper, all these guys who were blown out of their places, Minnesota, Tampa. Those guys have say in the run game. Okay. All right. So instead of one voice, you're going to have 5 voices. Like committee on how they're going to approach the run game. Okay? With no Jeff Stoutland. I think the more voices you have in a room, the more confusion you have. I think the less voices you have, the more clarity you have, right or wrong. Maybe. It's OC by committee and Mannion the front guy. Yeah, kind of bit. I heard a lot of collaborative stuff. So the bar is set low for this season? No. How would I know that on May 22nd? How in God's name would I know that? And how would you know? I don't know. I have no idea. Mike, I'm just answering questions and what I heard from Sean Mannion. Clown Boys haven't done shit in 30 years. Yes. So let's not act like they have a blueprint on building a football team and a coaching staff. Well, who said that? Jimmy Johnson built a coaching staff and had the blueprint. He won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, let me hook you up on somebody here with Chris Forster's currently in his 11th season with the 49ers. Thank God we don't have this shit show. Let me tell you something about this guy and why I like this guy. He had a drug problem in Miami, and I like Chris a lot. He had a cocaine problem in Miami. Straightened his life out. He is one whale of an offensive line coach. And I'm happy to see him in San Francisco getting his life back together. He is one whale of a talented guy. And everybody in the National Football League has tremendous respect for Chris Forster. Just an amazing offensive mind and an offensive line coach. I have nothing but tremendous respect for him. Tremendous respect. Okay? I mean, just a good coach who had some situations in his life go bad. Okay? He said in the last 30 years, okay, meaning after Jimmy, well, he's dead on then. By some of your logic, you have a cocaine problem. Gee, Deshae, didn't think you were that guy either. Because you don't like what you hear, you go with bullshit. But hey, par for the course. Weak responses. Seals with Fix stating he's staying for the next 2 years. What does the future look like for Clint now? If I'm Clint, I'm staying. I'm not leaving Vic. Unless it's a DC opportunity. Then I'm leaving. I signed a 2-year contract, and then come back to Philly. Okay? Jimbo, on your neck, Sills, answer his question. No, I won't. Because if it fits, fucking wear it. Nitpicking? I'm answering his questions. I wrote them all down. I'm not just picking. These are all of his answers. What are you talking about? see here. Half of Sills' takes are rage bait. You all know that by now, right? I don't even really know what you're talking about, guy. I've been doing sports talk radio and broadcasting for 40 years. If that's how you see it, more power to you, kid. See here. Philadelphia Eagles are the most successful franchise since the turn of the century. That's a lie. What? You think in the last 25 years you've had more success than the Patriots and the Chiefs? Really? You think you're more successful than the Chiefs and the Patriots? Sills, there is way too many moving pieces with this one. Something isn't right. Well, no, let's continue. Chris Cooper, you worked with him in Minnesota when he was up there as a player. Thought he was a good coach. Saw some great things that he liked, some great characteristics. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Fitting your ideology and how you see the game? Sure. Sure, okay. Only Patriots, Chiefs, and surprising Broncos more successful than the Eagles post 2000. Yeah, so that sounds right. Jules, I would watch the play clock during these games, see how long it takes to get the play in. Phenomenal take, Weapon. Weapon. Phenomenal take. Phenomenal take. Dude, did you not hear what I said? If the fucking jacket fits, put it on. Mannion had no direct ties to Grizzard. So how did he wind up getting hired? Ask Howie and Jeff. So let's go here. Here's another one that he answered. The balance, the new and the old. Now here's something to keep an eye on. Okay? The new language and terminology. How much are they going to change of that going into the new offense? Does Jalen have to learn a new, okay? Have they been trying to do the new language, new terminology? Okay? My friend, we've got 1,000 stalkers in here every day. Thousands of stalkers. Sills, what schemes you see the Eagles running with all these new wideouts? That depends on the quarterback. Okay? So it's hard to get into rhythm, Mannion. This guy, you know what, folks? This guy's got a new name now. I mean, this is the people that the FBI contacted me about. It's really sad, guy. Man. Damn, dude. I just talk sports. That guy comes here every day with a new name, a new handle, and he sits here for 4 hours and he tries to get the show canceled. Zander's called him out 700 times. We don't block him. And we give him a life. It's crazy how people come here every day to try to do that shit. It's wild. but it's happened every day of my life and in my career. So it's whatever. So I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me anymore. At least LJ better than him. Where's the dude with the clown picture? I mean, it's really wild. So here, let's continue. So if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. Correct. I get it. One thing Mannion will have authority over is the game day being the one to decide what play is called. I won't say it's by committee on Sunday. Let me ask you, Brandon, did you think it was by committee on Kevin Patullo? Did you think he had total autonomy? Because if you don't think Kevin Patullo had total autonomy last year, how can you blame Kevin Patullo for the decision-making that was going on last year? Brandon, do you think that Kevin Patullo had full autonomy last year? Because if you don't, he did? Okay. Okay. I think it was between Kevin and Nick. Well, then how do you know if Kevin was bad? So none of the new scheme matters if Jalen keeps the old habits. Great take. Good Jalen steps up, throws or runs up the middle under pressure. Bad Jalen rolls right and throws it away every time. Okay? Seals, why would you accept a guy who tried to make calls and shut you down? Honest question. Philly has a long history of rat removal. My friend, you know why? They expose themselves every day of their lives when they do that. And everyone sees people for who they are. You get a sense of who people are by their actions. And people will make their own assessment of what kind of people you look at and who they are. It's not for me to judge him. It's for you to judge him. More confident in Mannion or less? I felt pretty good about it. Here, that's a great take. Intern. Let me go here with that. I like that. Yeah. I liked him. I did. I like him. No. And I don't believe in ghosts. Yeah, I did. I like him. As long as Mannion doesn't say we run it just to run it sometimes, we should be okay. Fair enough. Sills, it's been by committee after Shane left because that's when the collective started showing up. Fair enough. Shit, Sills. I see ghosts, bro. Who are you? Sam Darnold? No, I'll say this. Yeah, no, I'm good. I thought the kid was good. I thought the whole interview was a total waste of time, but he sounded good. He said the right things. Can I tell you what he sounded like? Tell me what you think of this. I thought he sounded like a player who had been interviewed before, and he knows what he's talking about and how to handle a microphone. And communicating is part of being an OC. I think his communication skills were pretty good. I think the way he handled the mic, I think the way he handled the room, I think the way he handled the loaded questions by the media being given questions. I'm surprised Bob Lang didn't write the questions out and hand them to the media people. I'm surprised there wasn't a question sheet that was handed out in the media room. I mean, but other than that, I have no problem with Sean Mannion. No problem. Thought he was good. I wish I would have found out what his offense looks like without one of the major pieces in Eagle history. But hey, we'll never know because nobody did their job. Sills, I got to say, I trust him more than Nick already. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. He seemed pretty confident. Listen, I didn't hate it. I hated how it was set up. Sills, what do you think Mannion's plans are going to be attacking opposing defenses? Hard to say, man. Donnell, all starts with your run game. If the run game doesn't produce anything, it really doesn't matter what it's going to look like in the passing game. You're going to be playing from behind, and that's not a skill set. Let me ask you something. Donnell, if you're down 21 points, Donnell, you think Jalen Hurts can throw you out of trouble? Do you think he could use the passing game on a weekly basis to throw you back into football games when the passing game has been horseshit for 5 years? What do you think? On a consistent basis. I said on a consistent basis. Do you think that offense, which has never shown any consistency in 5 years, to do that? Okay, once again, on a consistent basis, do you think if that run game, how about this? You couldn't do it. You know what? You guys said he did it for the Rams game. You couldn't do it in the 49er game. You couldn't do it all last year when you needed to do it. You couldn't do it. 17 games. And when it got to the playoffs, you couldn't do it. But now you think he can. Okay? We'll find out. We saw him try it against Niners, and he threw into triple coverage. Yeah, the scheme was ass last year. What about the 4 years previous? When you get 2 Super Bowls and a win in there. Didn't he have like 16 yards in the Bills' second half? No, listen, Hollywood. I'm talking about, can that guy throw your football team out of trouble on a week-to-week basis if your run game doesn't get going? Ask yourself that. And if you think yes, you're going to have to prove that to me where he's done that on a week-to-week basis, because he hasn't. That'll be the story of the year. It's clear KP and Kevin didn't have answers when the league figured out their offense. Now AJ's mentally weak. When you've had the winningest era of football for a 5-year span, now he's mentally weak. By the way, look at his pre-draft profile. It's who he is. And I think the Buck game, too. I don't think they had a completed pass in the second half of the Buck game. Sills, I would have liked to hear him answer a question on how to attack defenses with a guy like AJ no longer being a factor. That's a great question. And it's not an unfair question. Weapon. That's your media not asking the new guy how he sees the future offense this coming season without AJ being a factor in the offense. I don't think that's unfair. It's got nothing to do with AJ going to New England or wherever. It's got nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. I want to see how you think the offense looks without a high-powered weapon. I don't think that that's an unfair question. But obviously, the Eagles and Bob Lang did. And to hear people say, well, it's the assumption he's not here now, is crazy. It's crazy. By the way, Rhea told me something earlier too. AJ wasn't at Jalen Hurts' wedding. I didn't know that till Rhea Hughes told me. I didn't know that. Interesting. Sills, the Eagles' offense was one of the top penalized teams in the league. I believe they were 5th. Jalen made completed passes all the time, but most of them were overturned by penalties. Mello, if you think you're going to have a great passing attack for the first time in 6 years, who am I to tell you no on May 22nd? Okay? Playing under center, play action, and the middle of the field, wide screens. Okay? Sills couldn't answer questions about the offense post AJ. Wait until post AJ. Well, wait a minute. If he's on the team, then why not ask him how he fits into a crowded room? He's not a personnel decision guy. He's an offensive guy. And if he's still on the roster, you're not going to want to know, is he going to be part of the offense or not? You don't want to know that? Dude, stop defending that. Stop defending that. My phone has been getting annihilated with media people all over the country about the handling of that press conference yesterday. Everybody has contacted me and went, what the hell was that? I said it was a staged press conference. That was staged. Was it Nick, a quarterback coach for Rivers? What happened? Oh, yes, he was. He was very good too, by the way. Or is it a different style of quarterback like Jalen Hurts? Yeah. Nick likes prototype passers. The guy's a yes man fraud, skated by with loaded talent. So you think the Eagles told the reporters no AJ questions? Yeah. Seals, you know damn well they can't ask certain questions or them key cards get cut off. Yeah. I'm over it. You already didn't want to answer my question. Oh, not this guy. My bad. Sorry. I can't keep up with all of his names here. I mean, it's crazy. I've got to write down a list pretty soon. Fuck. At least my boy Ray is here. Comes in and has some balls to himself. He was also under Frank Wright, who coached Peyton Manning, who ran a very similar offense. He was also under Frank Wright, who coached Peyton Manning. When did Frank Wright coach Peyton Manning? I don't remember Frank Wright coaching Peyton Manning. Where was that? Where was Peyton Manning at? Frank Wright was in Indianapolis with Andrew Luck and Jacoby Brissett. I don't remember Peyton Manning being there. Peyton was already in Denver. Seals, the Eagles are going to have AJ reports next. True Bob Lang bots. Oh, you know what? The Eagles are going to, oh my God. Here, let me set this up for you the next week. How many days until July 1? What's it, 9? Over these next 9 days, the Eagles will start doing this. Let me see if they've already started with Devonta Smith, showing him on the front of the, let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Campbell, Carter. Let's see. There's Devonta. 1. There's Jalen. There's Jalen. There's Carter. There's Devonta. There's Stowers. There's Devonta. There's Devonta running a pass. There's Devonta going out. Hurts throwing to Devonta. There it is, right there in the back of the end zone to Smitty. Great catch, Smitty, against the Falcons. Yes, sir. Let me see here. Frank Wright. Frank Wright. Let's see. Indianapolis. I see that. You're right, Reyes. He was back there in 06. Manning was out of there, I believe. You're right. Quarterback coach in 2009. I think you're right. I didn't realize that. You're right. I had forgotten Frank was there. Let me see here. Let me see here. I didn't realize he went from San Diego there. Hold on. Let's see here. By the way, I'm working on getting Frank on his new OC of the he's the new OC. Let's see, 2011. Is that right? Quarterback coach in 2009 and 10. Peyton Manning. Let me see this. Peyton Manning. Let's see. Yeah, he was. You're right. He was a quarterback coach in 9 and 10. I didn't realize that. I didn't know he worked with Manning. But then again, that goes down the style, though, of what you said with Manning and Rivers. Nowhere in his entire history has he worked with somebody like, oh, that's good too. Yeah, Bruce Arians too. Okay, great. Get this, though. Completely different style of play. Good pull, guys. Dan, thanks, Reyes. Dan, what does success for this offense look like to you? I don't think you need to be a top 10, but the OC needs to show a feel for the game, be able to adjust early to put his team on the best spot. I'll take that. Yeah. If I feel there's a flow to the game, how about this, guys? How about this? If the offense looks like how Vic calls the defense, I'm going to be pretty good with that. Okay? So it's going to be hard to convince Clint to stay aboard for 2 more years unless he's fine. Twiz, if that defense ends up in the top 5, Clint Hurts going to be a defensive coordinator somewhere else. Yeah, it will be. Now, if they up his pay to entice him to stay, hey, ask yourself this, Twiz. You give me $2.5, $3 million to be a defensive assistant head football coach, and I'm next in line. Would I rather be that or the new D coordinator in Arizona? I think I'm going to take the $3 million, and I'm going to stay in Philly. I think I'll stay in Philly. Why would I go to Arizona? That's where coaches and quarterbacks go to die. You know? Listen here. I got to tell you. Look, I haven't even gone to the topics yet. If I'm Philadelphia Eagle fans, start clapping. The New York Giants extended Joe Schoen. Why? Is that, I criticize Nick for decision making. Name me one decision that he's made so far, Joe Schoen, that has been a good one. Drafting Malik Neighbors. Okay. Yeah, all right. Getting rid of Saquon Barkley. No. Getting rid of Daniel Jones. No. Who would you rather have? Daniel Jones or Jackson Dart? I'd rather have Daniel Jones coached right. Dude, you know who I'd rather have in New York? I'd rather have Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones than John Harbaugh and Jackson Dart. I know what Shane Steichen can do with a quarterback. I've seen it in 2 places. I've seen it. Right? I've seen him take a bust in Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones just signed a 2-year contract extension at $48 million annually. I saw him take Jalen Hurts to a Super Bowl. Runner-up in the MVP race. I'm pretty good. Dude, if Shane Steichen ever gets blown out, I pray to God the Eagles fire whoever they have at OC and get him if Hurts is a quarterback. I don't think he's really that bad either, but I don't really think he's that good either. I kind of think he's a dude. He's worked with 2 different styles in Hurts and Herbert. Who you talking with? Hurts and Herbert. This I know, Kyle. Frank, or what's his name, wasn't there with Herbert. That I know. Shane, now on the other hand, has worked with Herbert and Hurts. So I'm assuming you're talking about Shane. Yeah, okay. Okay. So the one positive I took from the Mannion presser was he wants to use Hurts running. I heard that. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with Mannion. I really didn't. I think everything he said was great. I mean, they're all words. It's a word salad. But I didn't. By the way, Zander at the bottom, Mike North at 4:30, and also Adam Kaplan at 5:30 will join us. We thought Tua's concussions were bad. Dart's going to die the way he plays. Really reckless. They got to coach that shit out of him quickly. The NFL is crazy. Funny how a quarterback's career trajectory can completely change based on getting coaching from a particular guy. It should be interesting to see what made Jones look so different in Indy. Yeah, the coach. It's the coach that's made that shit look different in Indianapolis. Absolutely. Yeah. By the way, I think Tagovailoa wins that job in Atlanta. Michael Penix, I think he's a bum. Daniel Jones missed a total of 28 regular season games due to injuries during his 6 seasons with the New York Giants. They had to move on, Dan. Probably so. So they move on from Barkley, Jones, and Dexter Lawrence. Okay? Jonathan Taylor and an O-line made Daniel Jones look better. Gee, you mean good players? No way. Rasputin, no way. Good players around a quarterback making a quarterback look better? That can't be. Really? Whoa. You don't say. Oh, man. Daniel Jones looked better with a better O-line and a running back. Man. I guess that only goes to Indianapolis. Huh. No way. That doesn't apply in Philly. No way. Not to Rasputin. Because that's Steve Young. A 1,600-yard back can make anyone look decent. So you mean a 2,005-yard running back could make an average quarterback look decent? Is that true, Rasputin? Would that be true? In your eyes? A 2,005-yard back, could that make Hurts look better? Since when have I done anything except trash? Oh, no. Okay. I'm actually using this for everyone else, Rasputin. You're a clown trying to compare Jones to Hurts. I wouldn't do that. Jones is a better passer. Sounds like Barkley made Hurts look decent based on No. It's kind of what he's saying. I want everyone else to hear it. Seals, to that point, Houston Texans have the worst O-line, but Stroud gets crucified. Yeah, people don't think that. Houston's offensive line is trash. So he must be trash. Even though he's been, hey, how about this? You know CJ Stroud's been to the playoffs every year? You know he's been to the playoffs every single season. What's CJ Stroud's playoff record in his first 2 years in the league? What is that? He's 3-3. Huh. Okay. He's 3-3. Interesting. I feel like Daniels is a pretty good runner, too. I think he's a pretty good athlete, actually. Let me see something here with Stroud for a second. So Stroud's 3-3. He's been to the playoffs 3 straight years. Now, he don't get any credit for going to the playoffs because he sucks. So let me see this here. Stroud sucks. So let's take a look at Stroud. His first 3 years. Been to the playoffs. Led the NFL in yards per game throwing the ball. His rookie year. So Stroud, his rookie season, threw for 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 5 picks. Second year, higher interceptions, more volume. 37-27, 20 TDs, and 12. Last year, missed 3 games, 3,000 with 19 TDs and 8 touchdowns. And his record is 28-18. 9-6, 10-7, 9-5. 62-25. He's got the same completion percentage as Hurts. And outside of that first year, they look pretty compatible. Does he run? I don't even know if he runs. Nah, he's not a dual threat guy. He's got to throw from the pocket. All right. He's trash. Got the same numbers as Hurts. Not really, but because he's done more in the passing game. But he sucks. CJ Stroud lost to 2 Super Bowl runner-ups and one of the best combos of offense and defense in the 2023 Ravens. I'm just pointing out. People say he sucks. So by that theory, did Jamal Lewis make Kyle Bowler look like a good quarterback when he ran for 2K? I don't think Rasputin is not. No. I put it out. O-line's not decent. Here. Let's see here. What was the 2025 Houston Texans O-line ranked? '27th. That's decent. That's decent. Hey, he sucks. Boy, hold on here. Let me get something. Hey, Zan, is this Zander Krause, the owner of JAKIB Sports? You know that fucking enormously obnoxious mouth you have on your network by the name of Big Sil Sileo? Yeah. Can you please have him stop ripping Bob Lang a new one? It's becoming unbecoming. And I'm gonna can your access to the Slurpee machine. Yeah. Thank you. Goodbye. Yeah. Shit. We don't have access to the Slurpee machine now. Woo! How you doing? Let's fucking go. That's what I'm saying, man. Kiss my ass with all right. By the way, I didn't mind the kid. I didn't mind Mannion. I told you I didn't think it was off the charts, even though I love that Jeffrey Lurie parachutes in off his yacht to sit there and interview the OC candidate at the East-West Shrine Bowl. I guess he must have parked his fucking yacht there in Mobile, Alabama. Have you ever been to Mobile? Holy cow, it's a sewer. You would think you were in Patterson, New Jersey. All kidding aside. Without further ado, my boy. Boy, I'll tell you. He is my friend, and I love the guy. Big Z! Zander Krause, how you doing, bro?
What's up, Big Sills? I'm going to be nicer to you today, my friend. We got a good segment ahead of us here.
Wait. That's because my family was mad yesterday.
I don't know. Apparently, I don't know. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know either, man. I don't know.
I was too cocky after hearing the greatness of Sean Mannion. I don't know, man.
I don't know either, man. I'm with you, man. I thought you were awesome here. All right. So let me start here. Okay, so no questions about AJ? By the way, I'm not asking this kind of question, Z. Hey, what do you think the status is of AJ being dealt to a team? That's not his gig. That's Howie's question, right? I wanted this question. Hey, how do you envision your offense looking? When you initially interviewed for the job, AJ was a member of the offense and was going to be part of the 2026 team. How do you envision that now, and how have you adjusted to that, knowing he's not going to be the one and Devonta is? I don't think that's an egregious question.
No, I think that's a valid question. I probably should have asked John why that wasn't asked, but I know why it wasn't asked. That's why I didn't ask him. Because, these guys aren't going to risk their livelihood to ask those tough questions anymore, because that's kind of the environment that's been created down there. Look, I mean, we can bitch about it. It is what it is. I don't think most Eagle fans really care, to be honest. Like they don't give a shit that the media is not allowed to ask questions, because I think they don't want tough questions nowadays. The fan base is much different now than what I remember growing up. Like I remember growing up, it felt like no matter what Donovan could do, he was going to get shit on. It feels different now. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know if it is or not, but it doesn't feel like they care anymore about that. I'm one that would prefer to have those tougher questions, or at least, get them on the record. I mean, dude, not only are you a first-year coordinator, but you're also losing the best player that's really, been the staple of this team's offense. For you as a new coordinator, what does that look like for you? How do you try and gauge that? How do you try and work around that, and keep making this offense better? It's a completely fair question, but Sills, to me, feels like a lost cause, man. It doesn't feel like they're going to ask any of those questions anymore because, like I've said before, and we've talked about this, and you understand it. Doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean you're wrong to rip it. I agree with you, but these reporters, they got mouths to feed. They got families to take care of, and you used to say something too about what your wife would tell you, like,
yeah,
congratulations, dude, you're right, and you're fucked now.
You're
you know
fired.
what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
So I don't think they're going to do it anymore. That's kind of the environment that's been created. I've heard already directly, that they do threaten credentials. They threaten credentials. They're trying to lower the amount of people in that room. So you give them one reason to do it, they'll do it. So we're gonna have to get used to the butter balls, the soft balls in there. So it is what it is, bro.
You made a point here, Zander, that I think the Eagle fans today, I don't think they remember. Donovan McNabb got crucified. He would get crucified.
He got crushed in this town. Donovan got crushed. Like crushed. I remember
they don't cover Hurts the same way.
Part of my childhood, I remember, is when I was younger, obviously Donovan was the quarterback. My dad apparently, now that I'm seeing the trend here, because he is a Jalen, he seems to love all the quarterbacks that Philly has had. He loved Andy and he loved Donovan and he loves Jalen now. And he's not as big of a Nick guy, but I remember he used to always say, in this fucking town, we'll be shitting on Donovan. Monday morning quarterback and Donovan, every single time. So it just was a part. Oh, my bad. I lost my mic. Let me
Go ahead, G.
Oh, that's good. No, but it just was a part of it growing up. It doesn't feel like it's as much of a part of it now. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's because the team is more successful now. Maybe it's because they got a couple Super Bowls under their belt. Maybe that's a part of it. But it's much different landscape nowadays, brother. Just like the whole world is, right? The whole world's in a different landscape now.
Okay, so having listened to the presser, I want to revisit some questions maybe yesterday that I didn't have a better grip on because I hadn't listened to it. What was your overall takeaway of how he presented himself, Sean Mannion?
I thought competent, smart, seemed like a football guy to me. I loved a couple
of his
answers.
I liked. I thought he was good.
Yeah, your criticism on the questions, that doesn't have anything to do with him.
No,
I thought he was competent and capable. I mean, I thought a couple answers I really liked. I really liked the answer about him always knowing he wanted to be a coach and taking everything he's learned throughout different phases of his career, knowing that the end goal that he always wanted to do when he was done playing was be a football coach. So I liked that answer. I thought overall he presented himself well. I think he was a little nervous. I don't think the Eagles really set him up for success. Like, you hold him behind closed doors for 3 months. You make everybody have to speculate. Is he there? Is he not? How is he? What? Everybody speculates. And then
set the room up.
Exactly right. Like, you over months, with the amount of time when you don't meet the guy, you start to create expectations in your head of a figure that's not there. So I think they made it a little harder on him, actually, by waiting. But he was a little nervous, as you would expect for a first-time OC in a big city, in a big market. And I thought he handled it well, though. And I'm excited to see what he can do, because it's just talk. Talk is cheap. You understand that. But if he is able to do some of the things he was saying about, adding to the offense while also not gutting the offense of what your players do well and what the team has done well, I think that's the best version of where you want to be. Now, again, saying it is a lot different than actually doing it and having success with it. But I do think he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I'm hopeful that he's got some tricks up his sleeve to be a good offensive coordinator. The problem there, I think, is, I have less questions about him being a good offensive coordinator than I do about the organization giving him the rope to be a good offensive coordinator. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In other words, I think he's going to be a good OC. Will the Eagles be patient and allow him to become a good OC? I don't know. I think that's a bigger question than whether he'll be a good OC or not. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
I thought the beginning of the presser was a little bit too scripted. All the Nick cliches, play hard, Philly way, culture stuff, I thought that was kind of like it was kind of like set up and written, and it wasn't really genuine, but
it was either that or it was a little bit of show of like respect to Nick.
Okay. It could be probably a little both. You know what?
I mean, like, think about it. It's his boss. You know what I mean? Like,
my boss's ass too in my first.
Right. Like, you kiss my ass, and I tell you, I don't need my ass kissed. But, you do it sometimes. I don't know why, but it is what it is.
I like you. I don't like Nick. I'm kidding. All right. Hey. All right. So here's what I took away. Me, Z. I'm going to find a Big Sales nugget somewhere and someone says something. All right. Yeah, in the interview process down at the old East West Shrine Bowl game, Jeffrey Lurie, Howie, and Nick were all involved in the interview process. And I was like, wait a minute. The guy jumped off his yacht and he sat there in the initial press conference or interview. So who hired the guy?
Nick.
Why was the owner there?
What do you mean? Why was the owner there?
I don't ever remember Sean McVay doesn't have Stan Kroenke in a meeting of an initial getting. You think Mike McDaniels was in a meeting with Stan Kroenke and Sean McVay?
But isn't that like, that's just kind of the ship Jeffrey Lurie runs, dude? I'm telling you, like, it doesn't matter who you have as coach. Jeffrey Lurie is going to sit on those meetings. He's a
meddling owner.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He likes to meddle. He likes to be a part of it. He likes to, make his case. He's always been that way. And sometimes it's worked out. So you can't really crush him on it, but it's definitely a part of it. I mean, I don't think that says anything about Nick, because I believe Jeffrey would do that with anybody as the coach. I do.
Okay.
I don't think Jeffrey, though, said, hey, hire him. I think he said, all right, yeah, he looks good. I like it,
Okay, so follow me here. Okay, let's go along that line. So when Andy Reid, let me pick somebody. Well, Andy Reid, he's got Super Bowls. Nick's got Super Bowl appearances. So when Andy's hiring a coach, let's say he wants to bring back Eric Bieniemy. He
got hired this year, didn't he? Who hired him?
Kansas City. He brought him back.
They brought him back. Gotcha.
Yeah. You don't think he went to Clark Hunt and said, I want you to come in here and sit in here on this meeting, do you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a different organizational structure there, dude. It is. Clark Hunt is not, Andy runs that whole ship, look, I get it. I understand that that's what you like. Obviously, we've debated this so many times.
Because you know why? It creates more clarity instead of having more voices.
Yeah, there's one head of the snake versus three. I agree. I understand why. The Eagles aren't that, dude. It's not the
Okay.
organization. It's not. It's not the organization. I don't think that has much to do with Nick. I think that has everything to do with, look, we've talked about this before.
Yeah,
I
but
see underdog.
if Nick loves a guy and Jeffrey Lurie doesn't, Nick's not going to hire that guy.
Well, that's fair. Yeah. Well, John's offense.
Maybe that's why it took 17 interviews to get that one guy where Jeffrey liked.
I don't think so, but it's fair to speculate that. I look at what Underdog puts in the chat there. He says it's the Chip Kelly effect, and it's so true. You remember when me and you talked about that, and I likened it to, when you have a baby, and if somebody drops your baby on their head, not only are you not going to want them to hold your baby anymore, you're not going to want anybody to hold your baby, And I think that's what really happened with Chip Kelly, where, after Andy gave Jeffrey so much confidence that a coach was going to do right by the organization.
Because look at the staffs he built.
Right. But even Andy not reaching the pinnacle, Andy put this team always first. He always put this organization. He taught Howie and Jeffrey how to build an organization in many ways.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that love or that appreciation for what Andy provided, and then to see basically the flip side of it, the complete opposite of it with Chip, where you take that trust you had with Andy, you give it to a guy like Chip Kelly, and he slashes your tires with it. You don't want him driving your car anymore. And I think that's kind of changed Jeffrey Lurie. And look, I also think that's why he loves Howie so much. Why does Howie stay here? Now, not only is Howie a great GM, but, when we talk about who's Jeffrey's guy, dude, he trusts Howie Roseman, and that's not going to change because I don't think Howie's ever wronged him or even tried to wrong him. So I just think it's kind of a Jeffrey Lurie thing at this point. I don't know how much he weighed in though. Like, Jeff, with all due respect, like, how do you know how to pick a good OC? I don't know that.
I'm going to give you something you just said that's brilliant, right? Jimmy Johnson.
No glaze, please.
Wait, no, listen. Because it goes to Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy said the number one thing that he wished that he had done was allowed Jerry Jones to be more involved, even if he didn't really believe it, to have more involvement in his team so that it would make that relationship a little bit better. This is where you got to go to Nick and go like this. Do you know how many head coaches would not want their fucking owner or GM in a meeting when I'm interviewing a position coach or an OC? 99.9% of those guys would never want that with those guys in that room.
Like, you've seen this, Sills. You know this, dude. Like, remember, you've talked to the guy they just
fired. Kudos to Nick.
I know, but, it's also something that he can't work around because, remember, this is the same – you interviewed the coach they just fired twice on this program, on this network. They fired that guy because he didn't want that.
That's right.
So we know what this organization is for good or for bad. There's a lot of good. There's also some things that maybe people will disagree with, but at the end of the day, this is the ship that they run, and I don't think they're changing from that anytime soon. I don't know what it's going to look like when Julian Lurie's the owner. I don't know how good that's going to be, but we'll see. I don't think they're changing much from that, but I get it. I get your point of, does it muddy the water a little bit? Yeah, I could see how that would be the case.
Okay. So Sean Mannion said something else that I took away. It's going to be a collaborative effort in the run game, and everyone's going to be involved. When he was talking about, what's his name? Ryan Mahaffey?
Yeah.
And Chris Cooper. What do you think of having multiple voices involved in trying to jumpstart the run game versus one voice and Jeff Stoutland?
Well, interesting question, but do you think what Vic had to say about, those coaching titles has anything to do with the offensive side of the ball? You hear what Vic said?
Tell me, because I didn't get all of the interview.
He basically just laughed at, because Joe Casper became the secondary, or they elevated him after the departure of Christian Parker. And Vic basically laughed at. He said, these titles that you guys talk about, defensive passing game coordinators and assistant head coaches and all that. It's all bullshit is basically what he said. I'm paraphrasing. He likened it to the water bottle he had on his desk. Here today, gone. It's they're Fugazi. It's a Wazi. It's a Woozy from that from one of the great movies. But so, do you apply that?
Yeah,
to
but
the other side?
that's his style of coaching.
That's Vic's style. But the point is, do you apply that to the other side? I think Mannion has more control of this offense than I've seen previous coordinators have.
So you don't think KP had complete say and autonomy in the offense? And how can we tell if he was a bad coordinator?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously you don't know for sure, but I do wonder if that more felt like, Nick's guy running what Nick wants him to run, almost like Nick gets his own version of Nick Sirianni. That, the Eagles like Nick Sirianni because he's their yes man. Well, maybe Nick got his last year with Petula. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. It feels to me like it's a lot more Mannion right now. I mean, they're switching to kind of his schematics. Mahaffey was for him. The Chris Cooper was for him. So, the other thing John said this morning, I don't know if it's true or not, but even John said, that run game coordinator, that Jeff Stoutland, the title he had, even that was bullshit. John said there was not a single year that Jeff Stoutland was in sole control of the run game. Not a single year of his career in Philly. That was just John McMullen. You don't have to believe him, but that was what John said about
I believe him
being the run game coordinator.
I believe John.
Is that basically it's a title. It's given to people, for different reasons. You get promotion,
salary.
Right? Salaries, pay raises, whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
Ego, you help people's ego by giving them more titles or the illusion of the title.
It looks good on a resume as you're building one to try to become a head football coach.
So, I think that's a part of it, but I don't think it matters much. I think it's going to be Mannion. Hopefully Mahaffey can work well into that. And then I think another question is the Parks Frazier guy. Like I didn't hear shit about him yesterday, I don't think.
Nothing.
Nothing, right? I don't think I missed that.
No. Did he mention Grizzardo?
Or no, did he mention was it Grizzard he didn't mention? I think he didn't mention one of them.
I didn't hear Grizzard. I didn't hear Grizzard.
Well, who? Parks Frazier is
the passing game coordinator, and the quarterback coach is Parks Frazier.
No, I think it's other way around.
No,
you're right. Yeah. Grizzard's the pass game coordinator.
Yeah, because he was the OC last year in Tampa, and they elevated Parks Frazier to being the new, and that's where Loeffler got canned.
Yeah, so there wasn't really mention of either of those two guys. So I don't know. Was that an organizational thing to bring those two in? I don't know. But remember, because you also have the proxy war that John's called it going on right now in Philly, where the organization blows out Scott Loeffler after 1 year. Jalen Hurts, who doesn't really post much on social media in the offseason, other for specific reasons, takes a photo of him at Temple working out with Scott Loeffler, the dude that they just fired. Remember, this came right after the report that the Eagles were sending messages through the media, and Jalen posted that. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, I wonder if that part of the team right now is a little bit of a gray area or maybe a sensitive subject, if you will, Parks Frazier and Josh Grizzard.
I got to tell you, his comments about Hurts and him being on the same page, I'm more encouraged about it. Listening to him.
Yeah, but you were right.
But when I see it in writing, it's bullshit. Can I tell you what I came away with him? You know what I wrote down? My first comment. Here, look. These are all my notes. Right here, look, that I wrote down from what he talked like a player.
Yeah, he did.
He sounded like a player, and I related to it. And so the first thing for me was when I heard him talking, he sounded like one of the dudes. Like, he sounded like, okay, I can listen to this guy. Keep talking. And he kept talking, and I was like, yeah, he sounds like he's been in a huddle. He sounds like he understands concepts. He sounds like he understands the most important thing that an NFL football player will go through. You know what that is? Fucking struggles. And he sounds like he knows all that. And so for me, 30,000 feet, I looked down on it and went, hey, okay. I liked it. And that's why I was kind of attracted to him too. I was attracted to it. Like, yeah, I mean.
Well, remember, dude, he's only been a coach for a couple of years,
Yeah.
so that coach speak hasn't
Is
really
that fair?
Yeah, agreed, definitely. And the coach, like I said, the coach speak hasn't taken over yet for him. It's only been 2 years. Now in 4 years, I'll probably start to sound like
I'll be poisoned and sound like every other guy.
Yeah, right. It's like Trump, Trump used to sound like the outsider, the entrepreneur, the businessman. Now he sounds like the Bushes. He sounds like a regular politician.
I know. Before he was like a real estate guy.
Yeah, now it's
Hooters,
like, all right.
buying Hooters restaurants. Now he's like a guy talking to Mitch McConnell, and you're like, who's that guy? Right. Yeah, no, I get it. Here's something else that was a little bit over the line. Not over the line, just a little bit over the top. Boy, Kai Lemon. He studies hard, works hard, he's prepared. You know what? I hear that, I do this. Hey, congratulations for not robbing a bank. Hey, you're an NFL guy. I get it, okay. I'm happy that the Eagles drafted a guy that works hard and wants to be on time and wants to be prepared. That's not a shocker, though, because I think you know what? Now that I think about it, the Eagles kind of do that, don't they? They hire guys who are prepared. They hire guys who are hard workers. Maybe that's why we're all disappointed in Jaylen Carter, because he kind of comes out of that room where even Nolan Smith works hard. Even Nolan Smith is prepared. All the rest of these guys are prepared. Q, Cooper. And I mean, maybe that's kind of one of the things that was disappointing about Jaylen Carter a year ago, is that his shoulders were hurt. It didn't look like he was prepared. He wasn't prepared mentally, and he kind of checked out in some ways. I don't want to play in a Giant game. My shoulders are hurt. Let me get this cosmetic shots, which played no dividend whatsoever in his game. I don't know. And it just, I like that characteristic of player that they look for. Maybe, Zander, that's harder than it sounds. Being prepared, working hard. Because a lot of organizations don't have those kind of guys.
Yeah, look around, brother. You ever go out in public and you look around?
Yeah, you know what you see? When I look at the world, you know what I see a bunch of? C students.
Autopilot, cruise control.
Yeah. I see C students. And you know what? To me, people in life are beatable because they're
What do they call them? They call them NPCs, Sills. That's what they call them. What does that mean? Non-playable character or something like that? Yeah. NPC. Everybody just goes through the motions of life. I try not to do that.
That's why it's responsibility of people that are leaders to make C students into B students. And that's when you get really good football culture there.
And you get the right C student, and they run the world, my friend.
That's correct, because then you realize what their captor potential is.
Exactly right.
Here's my take on Vic. I'll tell you what, he's so old school. He don't give a shit about anything. And that comment did resonate more after hearing it. Yeah, no, I'm going to be here. I still got juice in the can left. I'm ready to rock.
How about John throwing a bucket of water on that this morning?
Oh, no, man. I'm sorry. I think that's important to hear a guy say, yeah, I still got some juice left.
I know, but John threw a bucket of water on it this morning. I'm like, John, the best part of yesterday is Vic telling me he's got 2 years. John goes in this long, drawn out, well, at 68, medical things can come up, and this can happen, and this can happen. I'm like, yeah, dude, and I could fucking fall. I could walk outside and get hit by a bus today, too. You
could be Kyle Busch.
Huh?
You could be Kyle Busch.
Dude, how sad, bro.
Sad.
Dude,
by the way, Sean Morgan.
That shit fucks me up when a guy like that is a family dude. He's got young kids.
Bro. John Morgan sponsored him.
I know. I saw John Morgan on his logo on one of the little one of those little remote control RC cars that his son, Kyle Busch's son, had a Morgan logo on it. And yeah, it's sad, dude. It's sad what happened to him, man. He was a larger than life type of personality, Kyle Busch. I mean, I wasn't a huge NASCAR guy. I got into it a lot more because my buddy Gary, who's one of our viewers, sent me to a NASCAR last year, actually at Dover. And I've been into it a lot more since then. I love racing. I've always loved racing and cars and stuff. So, I mean, I've always taken a liking to it, but I never really watched NASCAR or got into that, like that type of fandom of it. But man, I mean, beautiful wife, two beautiful young kids. And 6 days ago, Sills, he wins a race, and his first words are, why does he always feel special? Well, you never know when it's going to be your last one. And then boom, Wednesday morning, they say he can't go this weekend. He's got a bad illness. Boom, Wednesday afternoon, we learn he's dead. It's like, what's that family going through right now, dude? I mean, how do you deal with that level of change and that level of grief and horror that comes that quick? Life is not fair, man. Life is not fair. And I always say, don't take it for granted. I try not to take a single day I'm alive for granted, Sills, because you never know, man. You just never know. Life is precious.
You know who changed my life on that kind of stuff? Kobe. And let me tell you, when Kobe went down in that helicopter crash, and I realized, because he was like a girl dad, it made me. I make sure every single day of my life. I can't tell you how many times I tell my daughter how much I love her.
You should. That's a great thing for you a great way to spend your words and your oxygen, my friend.
Yep. And I say it every day, at least 4 or 5 times, because Kobe, I had more respect for Kobe after his playing days, because I realized what kind of father he wanted to be to Gigi and the rest of his kids. And I went like this, damn, dude. Remember, Phil Jackson said that he was going to die alone. No way, man. That guy he died with his daughter, taking her to an event.
Well, you know what's interesting? There's actually some comps there with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch was super kind of villain-like early in his career.
Yeah,
that's how he got the nickname Rowdy,
yep,
and all those things. And I don't want to say he's tempered himself, but he's got young kids now. He's dedicated a lot of his time to helping his son. I think if I remember correctly, Kyle had said something where he's going to retire from the NASCAR Cup when his son turns 16 or 18 years old, because they can race the trucks together. They can do the truck racing together.
Yep.
That's what his son liked, I think. So, Kobe started to dedicate a lot of his late career and his later life to his kids, obviously with Gigi, who passed as well, and his other daughters. And I think Kyle's done the same, but just super sad story, man. Really, really sad story. Rest in peace, obviously, to Kyle. And my condolences go out to his family and all the people in that industry. Life is fragile, everybody. Like Sil said, man. Tell your family, tell the people in your life that matter to you. Not football, not the stupid players, none of that shit matters. I promise you. It's inconsequential. Real shit matters. So that story was tough for me to read.
One last thing on this. I've learned one thing as my daughter's growing older and being more accomplished in her life. All the things that I've accomplished, they become smaller. When I didn't have that mentality 15 years ago, it was more about me and all that, and me being selfish and all the shit that I did. The more that my kid goes and does things and gets older and becomes more positive, she deals with like kids. She showed me pictures of her with like little 2, 4, 5-year-old kids that she deals with every day. She dealt with handicapped kids. And I'm sitting there going, man, what a great kid. What a great human. And all the things that I accomplished, the football stuff, all everything. It just seems smaller to me now.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I appreciate you sharing that. It's true.
It just becomes smaller now in my life. And so anyway, all right. So Devonta Smith, how convinced are you that Sean Mannion's going to make this guy a number 1 wide receiver in the National Football League? Design schemes to get him open and to turn him into JSN.
Well, is it Sean or is it the player for this? I think Devontae's going to have to do his part to elevate his game to the next level. I'll go to one of my favorite movies of all time, Miracle, and Herb Brooks absolutely roast Jim Craig, and after he lets up 10 goals of the Soviets before the Olympics, and he basically says to him, "I'm looking for you to go to the next fucking level. All right, I'm not looking for you to be great. I'm looking for you to go to the next level." And I think that's what Devonta has to do. This is no longer your talent is good. You got to go to the next level. You have to take it to the next level. You have to, approach the game from the next level, and you have to dominate, mentally, physically, spiritually in some ways. You got to do whatever it takes to prepare yourself to do that. And then if he does that, then yeah, I have confidence that Sean will do it. I mean, the thing I like about Sean is he does have a good background, and at least, even if he takes time to implement it, Sills, he's seen a lot of great coaches in his career, do specific things like that. Like an example of McVay. I'm not saying he's going to be McVay, but to be able to see the way McVay uses receivers, and uses guys in different ways to get them open, to be creative, to, the illusion of complexity, create space for your guys, do these different things to get them a part of the game plan. I think that's a good thing for Sean. So I think it's more on Devonta actually, but I think Sean will be a big part of it, and I think he can certainly do it.
Okay, well, do you agree that Herb Brooks can look at a human being and know that, here, Zander, when I was a young kid, my sophomore year in high school, I was old city and all this and that, and one guy come up to me and go, why aren't you the best player in the entire country at your position? You're 6'2", you're 250 pounds, you're in high school, you're a linebacker. How come you're not? I go, I thought I was. He goes, no. How come you're not that? And I realized right there, I wasn't. Don't you think coaches like Herb Brooks can look at somebody like a Mike Eruzione and pull that out, maybe that you don't even see yourself?
Yeah.
Okay? Or how about Mike McDaniels going to Los Angeles? You don't think he's going to pull the best out of Justin Herbert, maybe the players around Justin Herbert? I think coaches like Mannion have to pull the best out of Smitty. I don't really think they've ever really pulled the best out of Smitty yet.
I don't either. I think that's fair.
Because I think it's by too much more by committee.
Well, there was comments about that yesterday too, where they're not looking to hinge all on one guy, but you need a one.
Was that a rip at AJ?
I don't think so. I mean, I hope it wasn't, because that wouldn't make sense. I mean, you have a great player. Obviously, you're going to want the offense to run through him. I mean, that's not a knock on AJ Brown at all. So I don't think so. I think Devonta is more than capable, so I'm excited to kind of see what that looks like. But it will be interesting. I mean, he's going to have to really take a next step, and kind of be that guy for this team. But I don't know. Do you think Devonta will be able to do it? I think he's talented enough to do it. I mean, I think the dude's got as much talent as anybody, dude. When it comes to route running, hands, athleticism, speed, I mean, he can jump, he can catch any football, one hand, two hands, sidelines, toe taps, you name it, he does it. The question is, when the defense focuses on you, are you able to still get your way, have your way with them? That's where I think Devonta is going to have to make the difference.
Okay, here's the difference in Devonta and some of these other big-time receivers. When Jefferson was at LSU or Jamar Chase was at LSU, they were Devonta Smith. When they got to the NFL, they're better. I mean, they're just better players. Smith has never shown me. He looks like the same guy he was at Alabama. He don't look any different. He's a really good player.
So do you think that's him, or do you think that's this offense?
I think that's him. No, I think that's the offense.
Right, like I don't think this offense is really going to accentuate and create receivers that can reach the next level. And maybe that's why AJ wants out.
I don't really think we fit this offense. That offense.
You know what I saw? I think it was just a social media bullshit thing, but it made me think about it anyway. Somebody posted up, I guess there was like a Chargers plane or something in Philly the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know if it means anything, but can you imagine if AJ Brown goes to the Chargers? Dude, they will be
with Mike McDaniels and Jim Harbaugh and Herbert.
Oh, they will be a nasty.
Remember one of my bold predictions is I got Herbert winning the MVP. You put AJ in that building, Chargers are going to be a force in the AFC.
That'll be a hell of a team. Yeah, they'll
with
be
that defense.
I know, great defense. And look, their offensive line's got to stay healthy. Last year they obviously were depleted there, but Herbert's crazy, obviously crazy good, man. Him with AJ would be so good. Holy crap. I still like AJ, by the way. I don't like I'd like to see AJ have a successful next couple of years. I'm not like I don't like look at AJ on the way out the door and I'm like, oh, I hope you fail and shit. Like I don't really think that about any player, but
Good for you.
I like AJ, dude. AJ was a big part of this team and a big part of the success, and I can understand where he's coming from with wanting to achieve your. We all feel like we're capable of something in life, and for those who aspire to reach that potential, I don't know if everybody does, but I think there are a good amount of people out there who do want that and aspire that. You dedicate your whole life to that mentality. It's not something that you wake up today and you forget about it.
There's no light switch to that.
Exactly right. And so I get it. I don't think he handled everything well. I don't think his emotional intelligence was high enough with the way he handled it. But I like him, and I think he's a great player. So I'm excited to see kind of what he does if he does go to another offense that accentuates his talents.
Zander, what you heard by Sean Mannion, all the things you heard from him, did it make you feel more positive or a little bit more with questions that Hurts will fit the system that he's going to try to implement? When you came away from that, did you feel better about him fitting in with him or still with more questions about him fitting in to what they want to try to accomplish?
Better. He had some answers about, where you do, obviously you have, you like certain schemes, and it's very normal, obviously, for a coach to have a background and a scheme that they like or that they think is best. But you also have players and you have skill sets and you have different things. And you also have a team that's had a lot of success. So I felt better about that. I actually feel less today like they're going to do some major sweeping change. That's not to say that they're not going to do, add variation and do things differently. But, I think that West Coast talk probably put that in the dumpster. I don't think that makes any sense with Jalen Hurts. And, I was thinking about this, like I was saying the other day, everybody's got an opinion. We all got them. But, what's that saying? Opinions are like a-holes. We all have them. But whether someone's opinion of Jalen is high and they love him or think he's a great player, or someone's opinion of Jalen is not as high and they think he's holding the offense back, I would urge you to throw that opinion in the trash can. I'll throw mine included because it doesn't matter. Jalen has become a successful player. Objectively, there's no opinion involved in that. He's become a successful player. He's one of the highest paid players in football. He's obviously achieved what they have as a team. Why would you have that player on your team and take what he does to rise to where they've risen to and put it through a paper shredder? It does, like there's no sense that makes.
No.
If you want to do that, then trade the quarterback.
Abandon ship.
Right. Trade the quarterback. But if you want to do that, that's fine. But then go a different direction. Don't take that player that's become what he's become based on what he accomplished and who he is and turn him into something he's not. That would be like me saying to you, hey, Sills, no more entertaining sports talk. I need you to report the news every day. You'd be like, hey, wait a second, my guy. Hey, that's not what I do. I'd be setting you up for failure.
Yeah.
So, I feel though that should be the case with Jalen, and that's regardless of what the opinion is of the player. He's the quarterback this year, so take that approach. But I think they will do that. I feel less like they're going to change that, and we'll see what it looks like. I do think there needs some variation, and they got to add some things to it, though, to keep defenses on their toes. And that doesn't mean I'm not calling for Jalen to be better as well, because I'm of the belief that if you want the run game to get better, well, you need everything else to get better, too. You're not going to have a better run game if your passing game looks like it did a year ago. I don't give a shit if Landon Dickerson is 150% healthy. Same with Cam. And Lane Johnson is the 28-year-old version of himself. I don't care. I don't believe they're running the ball this year, Sil, at a high level if they don't add, more versatility to their game. So I think that needs to happen too. But I think you can do that in a way that allows you to keep building around what Jalen is and who he is, as compared to trying to turn him to something he's never been.
Couple more here, then we'll get to some of the supers. Do you agree that AJ may have made it more complicated for Sean Mannion to execute what he wants with his vision being here compared to maybe kind of a smaller version of a clean slate, giving him the ability to have a clean slate where there's not, you know how you don't have a main target where you have to get targets to, you're obligated to get it to that guy. Doesn't AJ not being here, in a way, and listen, obviously loss of talent is a big deal. Jimmy's and Joe's, you said it yesterday to me. You have to have Jimmy's and Joe's. What I'm saying, though, doesn't it make the environment a little bit better for Mannion to execute a vision by doing this? Nobody's a focal point. The focal point's now the quarterback. It's not A.J. Brown. Doesn't that make his job a little smoother and having everybody row in the same direction versus a guy you got to placate to?
Right. Like because AJ, to your point, AJ wanted them to be something that they weren't.
That's right.
You know?
Or maybe something Mannion wasn't going to be and wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a good point. I think with that being said, then, all right, well, that means more burden is on you, and you're going to have to take that.
Don't you think that's what the organization wants? More burden on the QB?
Well, I think they should. I mean, I think they should. I mean, I'm not really in the business of having a franchise quarterback paid like a franchise quarterback that you don't expect to do franchise quarterback things with. You know, franchise quarterbacks are franchise quarterbacks. They're meant to lead your franchise. You know, they're meant to steady the ship. They're meant to provide you, all right, an almost unfair advantage over the rest of the league. You have a franchise. That's why they're so coveted. That's why teams reach every single year in the draft for them, just for the small chance that they can get themselves a franchise quarterback. That's what you're supposed to get from them. So I think that's fair. I think that's actually the good way to look at it. I mean, the question then becomes, is the personnel around him combined with that quarterback going to be enough to do what you just said they're going to do, you know, and be good enough to go the distance? Because if you look at 24 when they had great success, well, they did need, you know, to rely on Saquon. They did, you know, they did have a great defense. In 22 even, I think that was even a year where Jalen really did kind of provide that. I thought Jalen was so good in 22. He was. But what does that look like kind of, you know, this year? Because, you know, we haven't seen that in quite a bit of time. 22 is a long time ago in football terms, man. We're halfway to 2027, everybody. I mean, think about that for a second.
Well, Zander, in 2022, your fallback was dual threat at QB. Your fallback in 24 was Barkley. What's your fallback in 26? If you have to have an adjustment in midseason pivot, what's your pivot in 26? The passing game?
I don't think there is a pivot. I mean, I think like for example, let me ask you, what would be the Rams pivot?
There is none. Okay.
What would be
Baltimore?
Baltimore has one because they got Henry.
They got Henry.
When you got Derrick Henry, you always got a pivot. You know,
there's no pivot. There's no wait. Well, in Buffalo, Cook.
Yeah, but still, that team. I mean, Cook was the leading rusher.
They're
in the
not
NFL
winning
last year.
Shit without.
That's what I mean.
Allen.
Right. So I think it's kind of a good thing where, you know, you don't have that anymore. And that's not always a bad. That doesn't mean it's all bad. It just means you have to build the team properly around the talent you have. And if you don't, well, you're not going to be successful. For example, if the Rams don't figure out a way to make Matthew Stafford throw the ball, then he just signed a massive new deal. He's got 2 more years now left on his deal. Congrats to him.
50 million.
55 with it. Well, but it's good because
55 that could get to 60 with incentives.
But they snaked him on the previous deal. They gave him 40.
40. I know they did.
They snaked him, dude. They paid him like he was Baker and he's the MVP of the league. So they snaked him. But for example, I mean, if they don't build around Matthew Stafford's skill set, well, guess what? They're not going to be a successful football team. Yeah. So, you know, I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. It does mean that Jalen's going to have to play great. You know, if Matthew Stafford doesn't play great in that system, well, then they're not going to be so good. So Jalen's got to really rise up this year. I think this year is, in a way, dude, it feels a little boom or bust for Jalen. Like he's either going to be what we're talking about, and this team is going. Yeah, I think it's fair. Look, I just talked about what it means to have a franchise quarterback. With that comes greater expectations. You know, with greater expectations comes greater obligations. With greater obligations
there's
means
no boomer
bigger
bust.
risk.
There's no boomer bust in Buffalo or Cincinnati, or they're not moving off of those quarterbacks. They don't make the Super Bowl. There's just
Well,
not.
that's because they haven't. I mean, it's been a different last couple of years. I mean, obviously. So the Eagles have those teams haven't taken their quarterback out of the game in some ways. You know, Kellen Moore kind of took Jalen out of not took him out. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You removed him from being the top reason that they were
Yeah.
going to play the way they played.
Do
So
you think Kellen Moore did more to hurt the narrative of Jalen Hurts than any coordinator that they've had in that building moving forward? And what I mean by that is you did create the narrative. I heard Colin Cowherd talking about it. Have you ever heard anybody having the quarterback told, do less so we can win more? You know what risk averse is? Do less so we can win more.
yeah, right.
That's
You
what
you don't go risk averse if you have confidence in your quarterback. You just don't.
Right. I mean, don't you think that hurt him and how you look at him?
I mean, it depends on who you talk to, I think. You know, I think there are some people who would say, like, maybe it's a stroke of genius. And hear me out. Like, you hear Philly Godfather, who comes on your show often, and he's a betting guy, and I'm not a betting man myself, but, you know, the reason I like some of those handicappers is because they view the game sometimes in ways that the common fan doesn't. They look at what the things are that indicate who's going to win a football game. And one of the things that always comes up in that conversation, top of the list, is turnovers. You know, if you turn the ball over or you lose the turnover battle, you lose most games in the NFL. So they went risk averse, but they were also like, just don't turn it over and we might win our games. And the numbers bear it in their favor. When they didn't turn it over, they ended up winning the game, no matter how ugly it was. So I don't know. Maybe there's some people would say it was a genius move, but I think a little bit still as to what you asked.
Last one here before we get to the supers. Mike North will join us, and then Adam Kaplan at 5:30.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Adam Kaplan. He's good. He's always good. Yeah, I love their. They truly Sills have one of the better Birds podcast. I think there's a lot of BS. Yeah, dude. I think it's a really good podcast. I really do. Believe me, I'm not getting anything for saying that. In fact, you could argue they're a competitor of ours. They're not. I don't see it like that. I've never seen it like that. But they're a really good podcast. I mean, him and Jeff Mosier, they do a really good job. Really good job. They break the game down great. They talk about things that, you know, the regular media might be afraid to talk about. Truth, honesty, and great
Jeff
football.
Mosier,
They're good. Yeah, Jeff with it's GEOFF, I think it is, Jeff Mosier. He used to do some shows with Jacob way back in the day before we were on YouTube. We had a show at the what's that place called in Glassboro, New Jersey?
Is he good?
Americana or something.
Is he good?
Americana, Glassboro. Landmark Americana, that's what it is. We used to have a show at the Landmark Americana, and Jeff Mosier was one of our hosts. It was actually Mosier and McMullen. Mosier and McMullen. Mosier, McMullen, and Krause, my pops. Yeah.
Hey, is he good?
He's great. He's great. Yeah.
You have a good relationship with him?
Yeah, I mean, I personally not much of one, but he's been on many times. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm going to try to get him on because I'd like to hear him.
Yeah, he does good. He does good job.
I'll have Adam give me his cell phone number.
Yeah, that's right, Rasputin. Jason Avant was with them for a little bit too. Inside the Birds, they do good stuff.
So listen, and I know that I keep bringing this up, but the next time Howie gets in front of the media, I don't think this is a question for Vic. What's the future of Jaylen Carter here?
I think it's hanging in the air right now, my friend. I mean, you heard Vic say.
Do you think Jalen Hurts is a prove-it year? Do you think Jaylen Carter could potentially be going into a 26-year, and he's the Jalen Hurts of the defense, where he's also on a prove-it year? Because, if he puts together another spotty season, are the Birds really going to go and give him $35 million?
Well, I think this year really comes down to this year. You heard Vic talk about him, where last year he obviously struggled with the offseason because he was injured, so he couldn't do a lot of weightlifting. Vic said he got at it much earlier this year. He's been much healthier. He's much further along right now than he was at this time last year. So I don't like, for example, Vic said, hey, 2 years yesterday. Don't go tell Vic Fangio you're getting rid of Jaylen Carter. I wouldn't go and tell him that. Now, if Carter struggles this year, well, then I think that's a different conversation that Vic would even understand. But I think they still want to keep Carter, but he's got to not only play better this year, but he's got to give them confidence that the child shit is behind him. Enough of that, dude. $35 million players don't act like children.
That's right. That's right.
So I think that's a big. He's going to have to prove that to this organization in one way or another. So I think that's probably a big part of it. But I'm pretty confident Carter has a big year. I just wonder, what the organization is because, dude, Jeffrey Lurie doesn't like bad publicity.
No,
he does not like bad publicity.
Let's do the supers here. Then we're going to get Mike North on.
All right, good stuff here. We got a couple supers. Kimberly, what's up, Kimberly? Devonta hasn't reached half his potential yet. That's high. That's high praise.
I agree. But I don't think also that when you're a run first offense, do you not agree? AJ Brown didn't fulfill his destiny when he was in Tennessee because you had Derrick Henry there. He came here and he fulfilled it. Then when they went to Saquon Barkley, I think that's what's really pissed him off, dude. This reminds him, you know what this offense reminds him of? Tennessee. This guy doesn't want to be a blocker, dude. He doesn't want to go down that lane of being a blocker.
Yeah, maybe, bro. Maybe. I'm trying to see real quick. I had a picture of me at one of the not the Landmark, one of the restaurants over in Glassboro where I met Corey Clement, Eagles Super Bowl legend. I have a picture. He signed one of my Eagles hats. All right, here's Gary. I have an autistic son. Your daughter's doing the Lord's work. Big Sills raising him right. Awesome, man. It's great.
Thank
great
you very much,
from Gary.
Thank you. Means a
Gary,
lot.
appreciate it, man. God bless you. Callan says Bob Lang is big brother. He really is.
Yeah,
he really is.
I'm trying to find that picture that John Morgan sent me of Kyle Busch and his family over there. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's
absolutely. Hey, look, man, that press conference, in my opinion, I wasn't mad at Sean Mannion. I don't want anybody to think that. My thing was, it was kind of a setup, though. The whole thing was a setup to make sure that he didn't come off bad,
Here's Khaled. Khaled says, I can't wait for Big Sills this season. It's going to be brutal, LMAO. Train wreck waiting to happen. I don't think it's a train wreck. I think even Sills is questioning himself on the 8-win prediction.
No. Here you go. I got one for you here. Look at this. So there's Kyle Busch in the middle. There's John Morgan and his family. And they're all over at the complex in Orlando. And they had just signed an endorsement deal with Morgan & Morgan. And he's all over. He's all. That's all over his gear. And
I know. I see it. I look. Yeah. I look at all that. I always look at that stuff. All right, good stuff. I think that's all the super chats. Yeah, Sills, I'm down here. It feels like clockwork, brother. Every single time Memorial Day weekend rolls around in the Northeast, the rain just comes. I'm down here in the great, beautiful Jersey Shore. And it's miserable out right now. I had to put on my damn fleece. I was so damn cold, man. It's cold. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Well, let me say this before you go, because we here at JAKIB do this. Now, a lot of people watch my show in Tampa, and I would like to say Admiral Cooper, and I said this morning on my Tampa show, anybody who served in our great country, Memorial Day weekend, you should shake the palm of people that served our country and that represent the United States of America, no matter what your political affiliation is. When you get into a foxhole and you're representing America, you're defending America. People don't give a shit about political politics when you're in a foxhole. Life and death is about foxholes, and I think you learn a lot from our military. And I had a chance to talk to Admiral Cooper this week on my Tampa show. He is the leader of Central Command. Zander, you want to hear something wild? When I was in Tampa doing my show, I would go to the Mayflower Cafe and I would have breakfast with General Schwarzkopf, Tommy Franks, General Petraeus. And I would be able to meet these tremendous men, especially Schwarzkopf. Dude, walking in, my friend Ted Webb was on a different news talk. I'm walking in and there's General Schwarzkopf. Dan, come back here. I'm sitting down. I'm like, sir, what an honor to meet you. And he sat down and I used to have lunch with General Schwarzkopf. And this was during Desert Shield and Desert Storm.
That's a great story, man. Yeah, Memorial Day. So, I said this morning, people, I think, it feels like a celebratory day because it's like the start of summer, you know what I mean? But it's a very solemn day, obviously, we sit up here and talk about football, dude. Think about that. We talk about dudes in tights throwing a ball around a yard, So God bless the troops. God bless those who've given their ultimate sacrifice for this country. No shows on Monday, man. So we'll have no shows. And then Tuesday, dude, it's OTAs. So we're getting some football next week, man. We're getting some football next week. So I'm excited for that. But all right, Sills, good stuff, man. I will catch up with you, all right?
You got it, brother. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, Z. I'll see you Tuesday.
You too, man. Thank you, brother.
Before I get to Mike North, the greatest beaches in the world for Memorial Day, you know what they are? They're Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, Sword. You know what they are? Those are the beaches of Normandy. Just put that in your mind when you're going to the beach. Juneau, Sword. Think about some of the greatest beaches of all time. Those are the beaches of Normandy. Without further ado, I'm going to start calling him Stormin' Norman North. My friend, Mr. America himself. Live from Chicago. Pretty soon he'll be covering the Indiana Bears. I can't wait. My friend, Mike North, he joins us now. How you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I heard your speech, and I was in from 72 to 74. It was a quiet period. They pulled out of the North Vietnamese decided to surrender once I got drafted. They knew that a machine was coming. And it's just a special moment. I'm blessed to live in this great, great country. I felt that way all along. Nothing changes my mind. I don't care how many ingrates think that this is a terrible country for them. They all stay here. They never want to leave. And if you don't like someplace, you want to leave. And so I just get a kick out of people that march down the street with signs, with no apparent goals in life except to try to down our great country. But that doesn't happen too much around my way of thinking. Period.
Well, I'll tell you what, look at that. Gifted 20 JAKIB sports memberships. Thank you very much. Mike North just did that. Okay. He brings it to the table each and every single time. Hey, by the way, my kid and my wife were in Chicago this past week.
Right.
They said it was awesome. I got a ton of pictures.
Right.
They went to the museums. They had a spectacular.
It's the best summertime city in the world, no doubt, except for Monaco. But I've never been there. It just looks nice. But to me, if Chicago was year round, Dan, a nice summer city, we'd probably have twice as many people, twice as many problems. We are sort of welcoming here. We always have been for the 8 months of just brutal weather. So we can keep the population as normal as can be, because we don't want anybody coming from all over just to enjoy our city for full time. But for the summertime, it's beautiful, man.
I love
beautiful.
Chicago.
It's the best.
I told my
regardless of our leadership, it's still the greatest city, and there's nothing else that you can say about it. I mean, that's why when you bring up Indiana, it hurts a guy like me, because I've been a fan for since 1961. I've been a fan since I was 9-10 years old. So if they were to leave, which I still am saying they're not going to, but
you're saying Arlington Heights, right?
Yeah, if they were to leave, they're divorcing us. And for George McCaskey to say, well, most Bear fans will be okay with it. He has no idea what his fan base has ever been.
That's disconnected.
Well, there's no doubt. And they're going to try the PR campaign if that happens, and it won't. They'll blame the state. The state's already. Kevin Warren still hasn't taken a full traffic survey. That's supposed to be done 3 years ago when you purchased the property. So we're finding out that he's, quite frankly, not up for the job. They've had the place for 3 years, and they're sitting on it, paying taxes on it, and they haven't even dug yet. So we'll see what happens. But they showed the site for Hammond, and it's on a snag or a slag where there's like hazardous and toxic materials. So there's all sorts of a mess. I think they're going to be at Soldiers Field for another 5-6 years.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this before you move on about Virginia McCaskey.
Yes.
You think she did the right things for that organization?
Absolutely not.
Since her dad died?
Absolutely not. I mean, she put her son in place and fired him down the line. You fire your own son. They try to say that they are ahead of the curve on all sorts of things, including social issues and things involving.
Like, who cares about that?
Well, nobody except them, and that's the problem. But they were ahead on female issues. They try to say that they have a women's flag football team. Here's the problem. She was the owner for 40 years and did nothing as a female. Did nothing. Nothing. This has just been over the last 10 years. Now, we don't care about that. I could care less. I just want to win football games, and it looks like, that's the direction they went last year. So we'll see what happens from here. But they are a better organization, quite frankly. They have been a better run organization since she hasn't been here, to be honest with you. But they have screwed that goodwill up with the stadium fiasco, which has been going on since 1965. I've been promised a new stadium 6 times since 1965 by various politicians and the Chicago Bears. Is
it because of the taxes, Mike, that they don't want to build a new ballpark downtown for the Bears?
Well, that's one of the reasons. I think inept leadership from the state. I think that the fact that Kevin Warren has gotten up from the table during the negotiations and double-timed them with Indiana. And Indiana Hammond is nothing. Nobody's moved out there. How come Boeing left Chicago? How come they didn't move to Hammond?
Mike, Hammond was a thing in 1973.
I didn't even know then it was a thing, but I would say Tyson Foods moved from Chicago. Why didn't they move to Hammond? Morton Salt moved from Chicago. Why didn't they move to Hammond? Everything is right next door, but one company moved to Arkansas, another company moved to Florida. So what they're trying to do is promise the Bears free, which happened to the Lions in Pontiac. And it turned into a fiasco, and Pontiac ended up after 37 years losing the team and being $400 million in debt. Nobody gets anything for free. And the Bears, if they were to Indiana, would be the second team in the state. They would not be the Chicago Bears. Nobody's playing the Chicagoland area game with me. If you're playing football in Hammond, Indiana, you divorced yourself from the fan base of Chicago.
You don't think it would be the same thing that the NFL looks at with Jersey and New York, that the New York Giant and Jet fans don't really care the team's not in New York? They so would
what's funny? I talked to some. Hold on, Danny.
Would they still call it the Chicago Bears?
Well, I talked to somebody from New York just last week. You're wrong about that. They don't like the Jets and they don't like the Jets and the Giants playing in New Jersey. That's the way it was set up. And the fact that we concentrate on that instead of what happened in St. Louis twice, instead of what happened in Oakland, instead of what happened in Pontiac, instead of what happened in Landover, Maryland. The NFL doesn't mean automatic win when you have a franchise. They have had franchise moves from Cleveland to Baltimore. It's been a mess for 25 years. Yeah, absolutely, Dan. You mentioned New York. They hate the fact that they're playing there, but they have to accept it. They try it. The politicians just rigged it that way. But there's been read up on all the expansions that have actually failed at certain cities, all the way up to a few years ago. Nothing's automatic. Nothing's automatic. So if the Bears move to Hammond, 25-30% of the fan base alienates right off the bat. I'll tell you that. I know Bear fans enough to know. Doesn't mean they're not going to root for them. But they'll be just another team to me. We're not going to have a team in Illinois. That's just tragic when your song says you're the pride and joy of Illinois.
Not only that,
it's going to be okay. I say it Arlingtonites. I'm sticking to my guns.
I'll still say this to you. You can't lose the founding team of the NFL. It's the founding team, Mike.
If Green Bay,
Green Bay and the Bears are the founding.
If Green Bay even moved in state to Kenosha or somewhere like that,
or Milwaukee,
which they used to play some regular season games in the 50s and 60s.
I played games there.
Right. And the Bears used to play a preseason game every year against them. That was like they played 3 home games a year back in the 50s and 60s in
my
Milwaukee.
rookie year, I played at the old
County Stadium.
County Stadium.
Oh, nobody. See, I am the history book. You can look it up. I'll tell you what happened. When I was alive, I saw this. The Green Bay Packers were second-class citizens in Green Bay. Now they got this metropolis. You know, you got a little hut. Little guy sweeping in front of a hut, and he looks across the street. There's this gigantic stadium. It's beautiful. It's funny. You know?
Yeah, Appleton's right around the corner there. So they got
Paul Horning will tell you that.
Yeah.
They never stayed in Green Bay. Paul Horning told me we didn't stay in Green Bay. It was too small. So when we were going to go running, we ran in Appleton.
Yeah, you go to Appleton. Everyone stays in Appleton. When you go play the Packers, you stay in Appleton. You don't stay in Green Bay. Okay, that's what you do there. All right, let me ask you something about your boy Ben Johnson.
Okay.
Would you rather have Nick Sirianni as your head coach
or
Ben Johnson?
No. Last year, yeah. Before the year last year, I would have said yeah. No. I think Ben Johnson proved himself. But ask me at the end of this year. I see Pete Armstrong from the Cubs and Buzelis from the Bulls and Caleb Williams. They're running every night. Well, Armstrong can't catch a fly ball now. And they're staying out, these guys. And they're the toast of the town. This year, the Cubs are losing again today. And Pete Crow Armstrong's taking a beating from his own fans because he can't do it. So, to me, Ben Johnson convinced me, but it's a year-to-year league. So, I remember 3 years ago, Sirianni was the toast of Philly.
How about this, Mike? So for you, and I happen to agree with the way you look at sports.
Yeah.
That is exactly right. It's not me to have a set in stone take on someone.
No.
It's the ability of the player and coach to evolve. Some get better, some get worse.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have a take and sit with that take and go, hey, because I said the guy 2 years ago was good, all of a sudden he falls off the planet. I'm not going to sit there and go like this. Well, the guy's still good. That's not.
No, I never do that. Here's what I do.
You look at people year to year.
I look at them as, or if there's a long trend. So for 25 years in the media, 30 years, I've been right about the Bear quarterback situation while they've been wrong. They finally get Caleb Williams. So I have somebody that says, hey, Mike, see? Well, wait a minute. You said Fields was going to be a superstar. You guys told Mitch sayonara. I didn't want him to leave. That created a mess. Cade McNown, I thought he would be good. He wasn't. So there's been so many times I've been right about the Bears only because I don't have a set expectation on if a guy has 1 year, that don't mean he's going to have another good year and another good year and another good year. You'll see there's guys that fall off the shelf in every NFL city that the year before were so good. Oh my God. I can't wait till he comes back this year. And then after like 5 games, you're like this going, we got to get him out of there. So it's a year. A talk show host should only judge players year by year because there's different coaches, different. That's why I've been very thoughtful with Hurts. I've been very thoughtful. And I saw a tweet this week from a Philadelphia guy, and he said Jalen Hurts, and I said winner. I also gave you a nice plug last week. You know, people like to name their favorite players from the Miami Hurricanes every so often on social media. I mean, you know, Michael Irvin and this and that. Me, I'm a man of simple taste. I'm a man of simple means. How dare they come on my Twitter feed, bring up Ray Lewis, bring up Michael Irvin, bring up Jerome Brown. Yeah, bring them all up. No. I said my two guys are Big Sills and the king of the ball control quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen. The man who would matriculate a ball down the field, 15 plays, 32 yards for a touchdown, Steve Walsh. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. Those are my two guys. And everybody sort of shook their head. Yeah, those are pretty good guys.
I love that. I love that in you, man. I do. All right. If you were
you wear the Hurricane thing every day, man. I know how devoted you are to that school. It's not because it's a good shirt, but you got so many different. You haven't bought a new T-shirt probably in about 10 years. You know,
they
you
send them to me, Mike. They send me all my.
Gear. Know it's awesome.
They send me all my gear, and I got to tell you,
you deserve it,
Mike. I love that place.
You gave up your body.
Hey, when I die, Mike, there's going to be a U on my stone. Okay, there's just going to be, because it's just who I am.
So in other words, if I go where, well, we don't know. I mean, look what happened to this guy.
Al Bush. Man,
you know what's weird though? He's a guy that won all these races, and he's a guy that won a couple wins. He's only 41, but really, he is under a radar type of guy because my wife. Yeah. He's not Jimmy Johnson.
No.
He's not Jeff Gordon.
No.
He wasn't Dale Earnhardt. So we have to show somebody big just died. And we base it on the masses if they love somebody. And they're not getting enough publicity. But this guy's an unknown.
Dude, his resume is right up there in the top 10.
Up there with everybody and nobody cares. I mean, today it's not overwhelming.
19 straight years he won a cup race. That's a record.
When Dale Earnhardt died, they're still mourning him.
Yeah.
And you know what?
By the way, this guy raced for Richard Childress, who Earnhardt Sr. raced for too, by the way.
Can I tell you something? I used to get in some of the most vicious arguments. I said the greatest all-around driver who's ever lived is Mario Andretti. I says, Dale Earnhardt won one Daytona in 20-some years, and you're bragging? And the NASCAR fans back in the 90s and call me. I go,
well, Andretti won on all
he won the Daytona the first time he entered it. In the meantime, Earnhardt's trying for 20 years.
He raced
the greatest
F1.
driver ever.
He raced F1. He raced IndyCar.
He raced dirt.
Go-karts, trucks. Did
right. He raced me in the street outside the studios by foot and won by 10 paces.
All right. Here, Mike.
Yeah.
If you were going to start your Bears team from scratch, would you take Caleb Williams or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts. You know why?
Why?
Well, because he's got resume. He can play under different coordinators. He's played under 5 or 6 of them. He's been in the gym. I'm hearing now. He's been in the gym every day. He don't care what people say. He's been in the gym first to appear, first to last to leave, setting the example. Things seem to have simmered down at Philadelphia, but A.J. Brown got married. I wasn't invited. I looked. I wasn't invited. I just happened to
think wasn't either, for the record, too.
Yeah, I just think the guy's a winner, and Caleb Williams has done it one time. Okay. Ask me, but let me ask you this. Would you rather have Caleb Williams than Jalen Hurts? See, but it's something you have to think about. It's not automatic. See, back in the day, if you asked me, would I rather have Dan Marino than Jalen Hurts? I'm going Dan Marino.
No, would you rather have Dan Marino or John Elway?
Wow. Only because Danny's Italian, and I know him, and I drank beer, and I drank beers with him, and Elway. You know what? I love Elway too, but you know
why
what?
I would take Elway?
Terrell Davis helped.
Correct.
It helped. In fact, they finally got him a running back, and they didn't do that much for Danny.
Okay, but wait. Here's what happened. When Jimmy got to Miami, they wanted to install a running game.
Yeah.
Same way that they did in Denver late in John's career.
Yeah.
John was willing to take it on. Dan fought with Jimmy over it.
I
and
can't
didn't
believe
want
it.
And that's what cost him late in his career.
And it's quiet kept because not a lot of people know that.
That's correct. Remember,
that's tragic.
Get this. Jimmy wanted to trade him to Pittsburgh. They wanted to get draft picks. And do you know who they were trying to talk to?
Oh, he wanted to trade Marino to Pittsburgh after Marino said, I don't want a running back.
Yeah, and get this. They tried to talk Aikman out of retirement.
Oh,
and Aikman was thinking of doing it and playing for the Dolphins.
Would have hurt him.
That whole thing went sideways and never happened.
Yeah.
Because guess why? Wayne Huizinga came in and actionated it and said, we're not trading Dan Marino.
Well, that would have been hard.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, maybe Dan Marino would have went to Pittsburgh with Jerome Bettis and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh would have been the landing spot for him since he was a Pittsburgh U grad.
That's right.
So,
he went to Penn Hills.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's too bad. I like Danny a lot. I don't know John. I know Danny through Jimbo Covert. They were roommates. And Jimbo and Danny and me spent some time together at the National Italian Sports Hall of Fame. As a matter of fact, the night that Jimbo was inducted, Danny came. And
they were teammates at Pitt.
Yeah. They spent time together. Yeah, they were roommates at Pitt. So that was a good experience. And it's a stain on Marino, though. It keeps him from entering the greatest all-time list.
I would, to the Caleb and Jalen, I would make this argument that Caleb Williams is maybe one of the most talented, athletic guys that we've seen in the league. And he's so athletically gifted, and I think
he was amazing last year in the fourth quarter. He was.
Mike, can you get this? If you can get Caleb Williams to improve his completion percentage 5%, that's going to make that offense look 10 times better.
Well, that's like saying if Jamarcus Russell, you don't think they tried to work on his accuracy? You can't work if you're not accurate. You're not accurate. You're not. I mean. You can get better but sometimes you know what? It depends on your receivers getting open and stuff like that and your coordinator. But yeah, I mean, look, the quarterback position is the most scrutinized position in sports. None that you can have 21 Pro Bowlers at the other 21 positions. Okay. If you don't have a good quarterback, that's where the conversation is. Well, yeah, but you got 21 Pro Bowlers. Yeah, but you know what? He's not getting it done. He's just not our quarterback. That's the most important position, probably in all sports. So it's going to be scrutinized. Look, either quarterback will get the job done. Jalen Hurts wins every year. He gets in the playoffs every year. Let's see if the Bears can do it. The Bears haven't been in the playoffs, folks. This is what you're dealing with here now. Yeah, you stay right there and listen to this. The Bears haven't made the playoffs 2 years in a row for 2 decades.
Wow.
So that's that's another thing on your resume.
Couple last ones here for you.
Go ahead, Pell. I got plenty.
Have you ever in your life, or did you ever think, when I watched Wembanyama the other night, when he went for 41, 24, and 7, I thought I was watching a reincarnation of Olajuwon, Jabbar. I mean, and Mike.
Go on, name a couple. Name 5 more he'll never be. Go ahead.
How about this? Wait a second.
Go through some more centers that I could
and he shoots threes.
Okay. Now.
Now listen. And he's 21 years old.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Here's my deal, Danny. I wake up the next day, and who are they comparing him to?
All those guys.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I'm going, okay. He had 40 points and 25 rebounds. Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 1 year and 25 rebounds per game. So you can have a Wilt-like game, but who's he going to be like? He'll never be like Wilt. When Wilt took a crap, he took one that was bigger than Wemby.
You think Wemby plays against better people than Wilt played against?
No.
Okay.
No. For who's Chet Holmgren's good. I like him. Okay. But my God, have you seen the centers? I mean,
No, the centers were better than they were.
Yeah, Will played against Jabbar. Will played against Ewing.
Reed.
Will played against he played against everybody. He played against Moses. I mean, not Moses Malone.
Willis Reed.
Willis Reed, Walt Bellamy. He played against the monsters. But you compare him to Jabbar, if anybody. Same body frame, except Wemby's taller.
7'5".
And I'm afraid he's going to get hurt down the line.
Okay.
Because I don't believe somebody said we've got to start weightlifting. I think that you can have the kid try to weightlift, but I mean, this is his game. It looks like he never lifted a weight in his life. And I don't care because like Kevin Durant, nobody ever seen Sammy Sosa. Nobody ever saw Sammy lift weights because he didn't need to. But a lot of these guys don't lift weights or didn't lift weights. Yes. I hope he's what he is. He's a freak. He's like Otani, and some of these other guys. He's a great player. But let's hold off because, the next night last night, he had 21.
He did.
So he was back to Vuk. He's like Vukovic, you know what I mean? So you can make all the comparisons you want.
Pete Vukovic.
No. Vuk from the Celtics.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
But I remember the Bulls had Tony Kukoc lift weights when he came in. They thought he was too frail, took his game away from him. So then the next year he came back thinner, and then he became like a real good player in the 6th man a year.
I got one more here for you.
I love when I don't care how many. You could have 15 more.
I had a guy ask me to ask you this question.
If my toupee is real?
Actually, it looks awful good today on you.
It does. I don't know what the wave is.
Not a windy day there in the city.
No, it isn't.
You stayed on with your staples. I got it.
Right.
1, 2, 3. Okay. 609 home runs. 273 batting average. Most valuable player in baseball. Do you believe that Sammy Sosa belongs in baseball's Hall of Fame?
I'll never get in.
600 home runs.
Yeah.
3 times. Not even Ruth.
Yeah.
Went over 60.
Well, everybody knows what happened. And I called it out.
But wait, Mike, there was no rules back then about steroids in the baseball.
Federal rules. There was it was a federal crime.
It was. 1989, it became an Act 3 violation.
That's right. But I will say this, Danny. That's not even it. The night his bat broke and the Super Bowls flew out.
Oh, and it was a loaded bat.
That's what finally it cooked his goose.
Was that in Tampa?
I think so.
That was in Tampa when that
was it. And you got to remember, I interviewed him when he was with the White Sox at the beginning of his career. He was 180 pounds.
That's right.
He ended up 230.
Did he go White Sox, Rangers, Cubs?
Yeah, he came when he's watch him with the White Sox and Rangers. He's a string bean. I called him the Panther. Because he was sleek. I saw him years later in Cincinnati. I couldn't believe it. But the biggest guy I ever saw that I knew was on him, and I don't know why they kissed this guy's ass and why he gets everything handed to him. But I'm at Yankee Stadium, and I'm in the locker room. I go, this is where Ruth is. This was the old Yankee Stadium. This is where Ruth walked. This is where Maris was. This is where Bobby Mercer, Joe
DiMaggio.
Yeah, everybody. And I see this monster-looking guy with his back to me. Darker-looking guy, dark complexion. I go, in fact, Mussina, Mike Mussina's looking at me like I'm nuts. I go, who's that? And he's just looking at me. He goes, you don't know who that is? I look, he turns around, A-Rod. The biggest son of a gun I've ever seen in my life. A shortstop. He was like this. And baseball can't wait. This guy was suspended for a year.
Yeah.
This guy was involved with the FBI.
Yeah. No, they stopped him from hitting 700 home runs.
Well, I mean, it got ridiculous. The 609 homers, we know Sammy Sosa. Nobody ever benefited more than Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds. Sammy Sosa benefited more than Bonds. And Bonds benefited a lot from the steroids. None of them were in the Hall of Fame. Someday they'll get in, maybe. But it's like if I played you in 5-card stud. You know who I get a kick out of, Dan? The media. Oh, let him in. Let him in. Well, Pete Rose is out. They're going, let him in. Let this guy in. I'm going, wait a minute. You want to play cards? I'll deal you 7 cards. I get 14.
You know, Mike, why I always look at that argument and say this to people. You have every right to think that. But when I was 45 years of age, no, from the time I was 40, like Clemens, until the time I was 45 years old, Barry Bonds made $290 million.
Yeah, I get
Roger
you.
Clemens made $343 million. And Sammy Sosa made $186 million.
Right.
You want to keep me out of the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
You go right ahead with your stats.
You know what the problem is?
You know what I'll do? I'll take my $400 million and I'll go to my mansion. And you know what? I don't need your Hall of Fame. Because you know why, Mike? You can't tell the story of baseball without those 3 men's names.
No, you can't. Just like you can't tell the story of Law and Order without Bonnie and Clyde.
That's right.
So, you know, you could play that game.
Well, no. You got to tell the story on both. No,
you got to tell. And I have told the story. Here's what I'll tell you. I saw Sammy not long ago. He couldn't look me in the eye. You want to say that money's everything? Roger Clemens, every gathering he's at, you know what they're saying? Why this fucking idiot cheat?
Isn't that funny? Those guys are all hiding today.
Why'd they cheat? You know, Barry Bonds, your head group doesn't matter. He made money. They would have made money without it, Danny. You act like Barry Bonds.
No. But wait a minute, Mike. But it extended your career to make that money.
Well, that could be anybody. That's a lot of football players.
No, but the juice helped them extend their careers.
In what way?
Make that dough.
Ken Caminiti's dead. Tell me how it helps extend his career. Jason Giambi. These guys looked like monsters, and then they were sweating in 30-degree weather. Mike, and I'm glad you made the money.
You do things for that. You're doing it for legacy and money.
You got legacy.
You're not doing it to
you know what? Larceny and legacy. It sounds about the same to you.
Mike, you're not doing it to look good at the gym.
Well, Danny, why did you do them? Because if you did them.
No. Listen, no.
That's fine.
Listen.
85 Bears did them. I know that the offensive line. I know that the NFL did them. And Lyle Alzado did them.
Listen.
Okay, how's he doing?
No, Mike. I think you
know who would have had a bad discussion with you? Butkus. He was against steroids, and he would have had a bad discussion with you.
Mike, if you don't think steroids were part of the NFL,
I get it. Oh, I get it.
They were.
But Butkus battled it for years.
Do you think Karras took him? I do.
Who?
I think Karras took him.
Karras?
Alex Karras.
Do you really?
I do.
In 1960?
Oh, absolutely. Diana Baldwin's been around since the 60s.
He might have been around, but you think he was in NFL locker rooms giving out?
I don't think it was.
I think it was prevalent in the 80s and 90s.
I don't think it was a taboo thing that people think.
I think that they cheated. They know it. They didn't get in. And then when they went in front of Congress, McGuire, Palmero, when he lied, I mean, they knew they did wrong when they were lying to John McCain. I'm not
saying they didn't do wrong. What I'm saying is you did it for $290 or $300 million.
Bryce Harper makes that. He didn't do it.
Mike, I got it. But this guy's
44 I don't know where you're driving at here. You can do it with you.
Here's why. Like I said, when you're 40 years old and you want to extend your career and you want to have that kind of money.
You got him taking him for the first time at 40 and jeopardizing it.
Did you see him in Pittsburgh? He was not in Pittsburgh taking him when he was 100.
No, but he wasn't 40 when he started taking them either.
But remember, Mike, prior to that, he had already won 2 MVP awards.
That's right. That's why he's stupid.
Okay.
But Mike, not in the Hall of Fame. You want to think? You don't think about it,
Mike? Why do you think they took him in their 40s?
Because McGuire and Sosa Bonds got sick of the headlines between McGuire and Sosa. Clemens, I have a buddy that's in the ground. He found creatine in the Cub locker room. I mean, in the Cub visitors locker room.
Mike, creatine was sold at the GNCs.
Right. I mean, okay. Look, I know you're coming across like Jack LaLanne, but knock it off. Back then, a lot of people didn't even know what it was. Okay.
I was in Oakland when I saw it. I used to see him
John McCain.
KMBR. I used to see him in his locker. I knew what it was.
I used to say to John McCain, I had John McCain on my show. He's on the Congress. I go, what are you going to do about this HGH? He said to me, what's HGH? So I don't want to hear about how everybody knew about all this stuff because, Selig didn't know. The media knew before Selig. And they blame Selig for it getting out of hand. And how come everybody yelled at Selig if steroids are all that good? Right? Remember that? Hey, steroids are good. Hey, wait a minute. Why Selig letting the steroids on? Sports is like that. I don't think cheating. Look, those guys go to bed every night going, I was one of the greatest baseball players on earth, and I fucked up. And now I'm not in one of those, in the greatest club ever. That's what Dan, you ever been excluded from something you thought you deserved to be in, regardless?
Yeah.
I have too. It's no fun.
No.
You know?
I'm not in my college's Hall of Fame because of my radio career.
I'm not in the Radio Hall of Fame. Okay? In Chicago. It don't matter because I'm in my wife likes me. And you know what? I have the respect of my peers. But you know what? We never cut corners. See, I'm not a cut corner guy, and neither are you. You said you didn't take steroids. You could have taken them. I bet you thought about it.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Because you're right. If you're a player that's mid-level, and you want to get to that next level, in football especially, because I know this, that 1985 Bear offensive line, Thayer, Hilgenberg.
Do you think that Mongo took him?
I don't know, but Hilgenberg had a heart attack at 35. Jay Hilgenberg, and Mongo might have taken him. They were prevalent back in the 80s. You know that.
Oh, completely.
They had them on the table. They had them on the training table.
They were accepted.
Pete Rose.
Yeah. I love you. This has been, we're going to have to pick this up next time.
Real quick, Pete Rose told me, thank God for greenies back in the day. The amphetamines. I wouldn't have ever gotten 4,000 hits. He'd come in, they'd pop them in, and they'd be ready to go for their game. So it's been going on forever, Danny.
You got it. My friend, I love you, and I appreciate you. Have yourself a great Memorial Day weekend.
You too, man. You too, and God bless all you folks out there. Danny's the best, and God bless America. Morgan and Morgan. Come on now.
Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate you guys.
Love you.
You got it, man. That is my friend. Interesting. All right, so let's pay some bills here. Morgan & Morgan. Speaking of that, the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason. That is because they win. With over $30 billion recovered, the number one injury law firm in America is Morgan & Morgan. Folks, I tell you about the story about the family in Florida that was initially offered $350K. They got nearly $12 million in settlement. Or the family that got $650K in Pennsylvania, they got nearly $30 million in settlement. Go to forthepeople.com/Big Sills or Pound Law 529. That's forthepeople.com/Big Sills or Pound Law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sills sent you.
There's a reason Detective Johnson is the gossip king.
Oh, did you hear? Jackie and Tom
are getting a divorce? Sad.
Well, I heard that Ashley
had work done on her face? Yeah, oof.
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Injured? With over $25 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Bathroom? Okay.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Oh, okay.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders the thrill seekers, and the night owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Hit the like button. Adam Kaplan's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. We will talk with him. Hey, to be transparent, I did take HGH. That's not a steroid. Okay? I did. So I want to be transparent on that. It's a human growth hormone, but it's amino acid. So whatever you want to call it. Okay? So I did do that. And that at the time was legal. That's what they give to elderly people here. Look what they did to poor Butch in track and field. Seals, have a great weekend. Love the show. Are the Eagles, Howard Stern. Also, can you take it easy on M. Reyes? Who's M. Reyes? Thank you, dude. Have a great weekend. Seals, they crushed Butch Reynolds his whole career. Same with Marion Jones. Who's M. Reyes? Play the game. That's played, Dan. You don't bet 600 pounds without a little help. Yeah, I just told you. What a shitty day out on the ocean. How you doing? Get out, dude. Really? Zander said it's raining too. Is that right? Any chemistry people, roids are synthetic, I think. No, they're not. They're anabolics. Oh, I'm not hollering at you, Yale. No. HGH is not. It is synthetic, but it's not an anabolic. I did my homework. No, yeah, it's an amino acid. It's a chain. It's 28 chain-linked amino acids. It's synthetic. It's put together, and it's engineered, but it's not a steroid. It sucks on the East Coast. Rain all weekend. That blows big ones. Fireworks? No fireworks? Come on. Yeah. There's synthetic anabolics. There's anabolic steroids. And then there's HGH, which is human growth hormone, is given for atrophy in the elderly. So like HGH was initially engineered for this. As you get older, your body and your bones get brittle. And what they would do was they made this stuff and for dwarfism. Well, when you're a great athlete and all, you take that stuff, and what it does is it enhances the ability to get your bones stronger and your muscle temperature, but it's not an anabolic. That's why it was never showed up on, and it doesn't show up on steroid tests. Massive arthritis because of it. Yeah. It sucks the juices out of your kneecaps and shit like that. Yeah. Deca and Debo are totally different worlds compared to HGH. That's correct. Night and day. Not even in the same conversation. Um, 17 miles off the coast, zero service. Wow. You know what? I'll tell you this. I had a guy by the name, I don't know if you guys ever heard this before, but there was a guy by the name of Bill Kazmar. And Bill was like the first guy, I think, in America to bench 600 pounds. And at the time, I was doing 550. And nobody had gone over 600 pounds except for Kazmir. And Kazmir did 600 on a squat. He did, excuse me, on a squat, I think he did 900 pounds. I did 850, but I was 22 years old and he was a little older than me. So the big thing was going to be that I was catching him. Kazmar was the strongest person in the world at the time. He did 910 on a squat. I did 850. And I did 550 bench, and I think my dead was 700. His was 700 something. Excuse me, as well. It's chest cold, man. It killed me. I can't get rid of it. Then I blew my burster sacks out and it started affecting me. I did get to 605. And I tied him on a touch and go. For like competition, I did 605. I did 605 in comp. $550 is a lot on a bench. Most guys can't even do their body weight. Yeah, I did 550 when I was 21 years old. I broke the freshman record in the bench press in like 1983. It still holds at 410. And then when I got to Miami in 86, I did 550. And that record still stands. That was 1986. So, however, what is that? Is that 40 years? Hey, is that 40 years? Let me see here. Excuse me. Is that 40 years? Let's see here. Sileo. Bench press. Let me see here. Yeah. So, but by the way, we had a guy at our school by the name of Kevin Fagan. So here's the records. This is the record board. I don't think you can see it. But Sileo, 535 was 1986. Kevin Fagan did 560. But I did that as a sophomore. I left as a junior. I was going to break that record. And Kevin did 560. These records still stand. This is the current board for the all-time bench records. And there's 535, 1986. I think I got the freshman one, too, from Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here it is. So here's the Maryland one that exists. This is Maryland 400 Bench Club. And, it says 405. It's down here. 405. Dan Sileo right there, 1983. I'm the only freshman on this list. I did 405. Randy White, I think, is on this list. Let me see here. I think Randy did 450. Yeah. The Dallas Cowboy guy. 450. There's Randy White in 74. He did 450. Pete Kotz, that's a guy who was Swede in the movie with Clint Eastwood and Heartbreak Ridge. couple of guys. I went to school with that dude, Vic Kronberg, in high school. Well, he was from Stanford. But Big Sil's down here at 405. I was 19 years old there. Yeah. His records still stand. Still stand. Still's pushing more weight than Leon Lett and unranked Vance. Yeah, Randy. Hey, yeah. The reason I went to Maryland was because of Randy. I was born in 80. I'll be 46 to 86 is 40 years. That record has stood for 40 years. That's crazy. My bench press record at the University of Miami. You would think that there'd be guys, but then again, I didn't realize how much that was back then. I thought everybody could do that. But once I got out of college, I started realizing how strong I was. And I didn't see really a lot of 500-pound bench pressers. And I was 19 years old when I benched 405. So 83 to 405, 6, 80, and 19, 20, 20. I was 22 years old when I did 535. Sills, I apologize for getting after you earlier. I'm almost every day because you keep it real. We need more people like you covering sports in Philly. Bro, all good. Thank you. I used to work for GNC. My husband was a power lifter in the Olympics. Even creatine shows up on piss tests, if not by NCAA standards. Yeah. Creatine, you know why? It had ephedra in it. And ephedra was a banned substance that they had in the NFL. Anything with ephedra in it, it shows up. It comes back as a positive test. So you can get anything at GNC. That's why these athletes get popped. If you go buy something, get this. If you buy something like this, right? And it's not on the NFL okay list, and something comes up on it, like ephedra, creatine, any kind of stimulant, caffeine, the NFL will get a ping. You'll get a call in the morning, and no matter what it is, even if it's not steroids, you'll get a negative drug test against you. You sit out whether it's caffeine or it's anabolics. So if you get popped because you bought something at GNC, all you got to do is pick up the phone. Hey, is this product right here? Is this product covered by the NFL? And read them the ingredients. And they'll say yes or no. That's a stupidity thing. Okay? That's a dumbass thing. Adam Kaplan is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Seals, did you know Joe Green? Very well. Still do. He's the only Steeler to have a hand in all 6 of the Steeler Super Bowl trophies. Yeah, he became the D-line coach. Yes. He is the greatest Steeler of all time. In my opinion, he's the greatest defensive tackle of all time. Just tremendous. We used to take ephedra in high school to lose weight for the beach or the summer. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Randy White was the best high school player to come out of Delaware. Thomas McKean High School. Dude, I wore 54 in high school because of Randy White. I loved the way the guy played. And when I got a chance to see him, when I got to the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm sitting in a meeting with Randy White, Ed Jones. I got Randy White right here, and I've got Ed Jones on the other side of me. And I'm sitting in a meeting, and I'm listening to these guys break down how they see a defensive scheme. And I'm listening to this. I thought I knew all my shit in high school and college. I played big-time college football. I got to the NFL, and watch how Randy and Ed and those guys broke down alignment, splits, backfield sets. These guys were like savants. Hey, don't line up all the way in a 3. Kind of do a shade 3. If you want, you could tilt it a bit. I'm like, why would you tilt it? Because usually that tackle will come from behind. And if he pushes you, he can push you right into the play. Sure enough, I saw it on film. And it happened for Randy. I am friends with Greg Cosell. I am. Yes. CBS was responsible for ending WCAU AM in 1990 after 68 years. Well, tonight, CBS News goes dark. You know why? Because CBS didn't know how to, the CBS executives destroyed CBS radio. Too much one-sided politics. And tonight, at midnight, 98 years of broadcasting when Edwin R. Murrow ends because they wanted to be a political party. CBS Radio News ends tonight. That's their fault. It's not the economy's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's their fault. Balance sheet. Stephen Colbert. His show ends. You know why? Politics. Too bad. Okay? Yeah, you can blame her all you want. But you got to have some balance in your coverage. It can't just be one-sided. They're not fair and balanced coverage. Anybody in their right mind can watch CNN or Fox. Hey, you know what, Yale? I'll tell you this. Yale, think about something I'll say to you here about the coverage. Fox is just as biased as CNN, but yet Fox's ratings are going up. Why? I think it's all you need to know because they don't cover New York and California. Okay? You think Trump controls everything? Okay. Yeah, we'll see. I'll tell you what. Why are they ending the entire platform? Like late night on CBS is ending. Like the entire platform. The entire platform. See, look. Well, Fox straight bullshit. Okay? Well, then why are they with higher ratings and better revenue? Because more people in America watch Fox than CNN. Numbers show it. It's not a political thing. It's an entertainment thing. I don't really watch Fox anymore either because I don't like both sides. Not for long? Okay. Well, what will change? When Gavin Newsom gets in? Biden was there for 4 years. They're dying? Not the last check I looked. People are moving away from cable. Correct. Okay? All this may be true. All of this may be true. Reality, ratings, and revenue. That may be true. Yeah, well, their demo's younger too. Should probably tax billionaires out of excess, out of existence. Why? Guy becomes a billionaire, makes a lot of money. Why do you want to penalize people for reaching a dream? I don't agree with that. That's like stopping people from wanting to excel in life. Hey, you can only excel so far. Okay. Hey, by the way, too, my friend, if you don't like the tax codes, change them. That's both parties. Jeff Bezos gets the same tax breaks as Donald Trump does. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg gets the same tax breaks. Elon Musk, too. If you don't like him, change the tax codes. If you're under 40, you get your political takes from Professor J. Brent Musburger did stuff on CBS Sports Radio. He called MLB games for the radio network back in the day. It's a damn shame that CBS News is going away. It really is, without a doubt. I could not wait for this. Heading into a Memorial Day weekend, too. Adam Kaplan. You know what? When I reached out to him the other day, I'm like, there's no way this dude's giving me 10 minutes. Or there's no way this guy's, he's like, he's got more people wanting him. And I fell in love with this guy's takes. I really did. You know why? I think Adam knows what really moves the needle. You know what that is? You want to be controversial? Tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you know what that means? Because most people in life would rather be lied to. It's easier to lie to people because it makes you feel better about yourself. But when you tell people the truth, people get a little twisted. So without further ado, I couldn't wait to go down here with him and get his thoughts on what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason here. Sean Mannion was in front of the microphone. I don't know how much you take away on May 22nd on a Johnny Feelgood, but you know what I didn't like? Nobody asked the most important question. It was a setup. Hey, Sean, what's your offense going to look like without A.J. Brown in it? Does anybody do their job in Philly? Let's go to the guy that I know does, and that is Adam Kaplan. Adam, thank you. I mean, nobody asked the question.
Yeah.
The $1 billion question. Hey, when you got the job, was on the team. Now that he's not going to be there, how'd you pivot from that? I mean, I thought it was absurd. There was no questions about it.
I was surprised. Actually, I thought the local media did a relatively good job. I've been probably to Eagles press conferences going back to 2001 and 2002, a couple hundred of them easily. There would be times, Dan, when I'd come out, man, why don't I ask a better question, or why don't I ask that? But as you know, if you watch these press conferences, they don't raise their hand. You're not given a number. You just jump over each other, which is totally unprofessional. I don't know why they don't make people take numbers after all these years, but it is what it is. But they're not the only local. They're not the local market. They're not the only one that does that. Actually, a lot of them. Because when I travel during training camps, Dan, it's kind of funny. It's a free for all. It's a free for all.
Yeah.
It's fine. But yeah, I thought people are killing Sean Mannion. Oh my God, he's Kevin Patullo. He's not sure himself. Folks, you never judge a coordinator or someone by the way they speak in the first press conference. If we did, Nick Sirianni would have been fired. Okay, like let's ease up a little bit. Let's be a little bit smarter with our takes. Some of the stuff that's out there, I understand. He was a little nervous. He was a former player, by the way. I mean, third stringer, but he's a former player. But this is a big market. Like this, Philly, Dan, is a major market. The media can be sometimes very tough on the coaches. That's the tough questions. I don't know why they didn't bring up, getting back to your point, I don't know why they didn't ask about A.J. Brown. It was kind of funny which is the assumption, oh, well, why should we ask because he's not going to be here? No, you still have to ask. But, it's Philly. Philly's had a fun offseason. They definitely have. And once they get the Brown deal done and they clear the decks at receiver, I keep telling people I'm not worried about the Eagles offense without A.J. Brown. I'm worried about a first-time play caller only in his third year in coaching.
That's to me the biggest question here, Adam, moving forward, because, hey, Adam, you know this. You can put a play on a chalkboard. In-game situational play calling, that takes time to develop. If a player takes time to develop, doesn't a play caller take time to develop? And isn't that one of the bad things that the Eagles do is develop play calling offensive coordinators, especially during this regime? It's either hit or miss. You're either going to get a head coaching job or you're going to get blown out. I mean, and plus then that affects collateral damage to your quarterback because you're constantly moving the needle on him. Has that been counterproductive to the development of Hurts?
I know it's been brought up 100 times. Jalen's talked about it, how many coordinators he has going back to his dad in high school. I get it. It's a factor. Like it's covering this league and talking to coordinators. Like I just remember, I didn't talk to Jason Campbell, but I covered him for the Senior Bowl. Jason Campbell went through so many play callers. No wonder he never made it. And we could argue that watching overdrafted him. That's not my point. The point is when you continue to give someone a different voice in a quarterback's ear, it's not good. It's somewhat counterproductive. But also at some point, and using my favorite Jeff Mosher line, who's Jeff's my partner on Inside the Birds, two things can be true. It's also at some point, Hurts has got to take responsibility and play better football. Like that, like he can't just put it together in the playoffs, which he seems to do more often than not. But the regular season counts, and he's got to be better. That's where Hurts is at. He has to be better because, as a former football player with West Coast offense, for it to work, the ball's got to come out on time. If it doesn't, you ruin the progression.
You think Jalen Hurts is the future of the Philadelphia Eagles?
I'm going to answer that question this way. This is probably the third time I've been asked this, and you were a little bit more blunt with your question. Because someone asked me in another interview, could Tanner McKee be the future? I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
I'm not there.
Yeah, no, but I'm a big Tanner McKee guy. But that's a little much. That's a different discussion. I'll be honest with you. Assuming that McKee's not traded, though, watch the first 6 weeks of the season. If they're 2-4, Dan, and Fangio's got his defense back, they had a terrible game against San Francisco, but they've got Grenard. They're feeling pretty good. They've got they've upgraded corner. They think Marique Woolen. I'm not worried about their defense. There's plenty of talent on offense, but if it's very clear that Hurts is a problem, no, he's not. He's not the future past this season. He signed past this season. And by the way, if he plays lights out, he certainly should want a new deal. His deals are undervalued, but he hasn't earned it. He's got to play better. I'm big on the total picture. I'm not 2 or 3 games in time. Oh, that season was great, or 2 or 3 bad games. That season's bad. No, I look at the entire thing and then you make a decision.
Doesn't Sean Mannion's success, though, doesn't it affect the defense and Vic Fangio's defense? And follow me here where I'm going here, Adam.
Right.
Remember when we had Chip Kelly? Chip Kelly wanted 80 plays. Boom. He wanted this 80 plays. What happened in 3 years? The blue tent was filled with guys that were on the defensive side because you were wearing their asses out because you don't have the depth you do in college that Chip thinks you can do when he's in college. Well, to me, if you kept and you're second to the worst team in the league, which the Eagles were, they were 31st in 3-and-outs. If that run game doesn't come back, doesn't that affect potentially Vic's defense too? And then you're in a bigger train wreck if that run game doesn't come around.
What's interesting you bring this up is that back in 2012, when Vic was the defense coordinator for the 49ers, I know they felt that their D-line was gassed against the Ravens in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. And I remember talking to someone pretty high up there with the 49ers and said, man, I think we were really gassed because Vic doesn't play a lot of defensive linemen. In fact, with their edge group, Vic prefers to only use 3. Okay, that's a problem. So you're on it, but that's not. Also, you have to, when you're talking about Philly, you have to factor in the run game and how bad it was last season, how they couldn't. The run blocking was atrocious. Pass blocking was not the problem. Their pass blocking was fine.
They were second.
Yeah, their pass blocking. I don't look at grades. I just know what NFL people think. Their pass blocking was really fine.
Yeah.
Run blocking, Dan, I never could have seen it. And now, I've been telling people that when I go to training camp, Eagles camp, I didn't even look at it last summer. I never even thought of it because they just won the Super Bowl. But, you look at Landon Dickerson's weight and Juergens, his back, and his injury history at Nebraska, and Lane Johnson Hall of his injuries and his age. You look at it all, and I should have known better. I just never thought of all this stuff. But now I know this. Now it's obvious. So I'll be looking for it. So that's a factor. But overall, you're moving this forward. There's enough here for Philly to get this offense going here. Now, could it wear them down? Sure. But a great running game could also help you sustain offense.
So here, Devontae becoming a number 1 Now you're going to get the doubles. Last year, he wasn't doubled at all. You're going to be doubled now. You're going to be the focal point of what I think is going to be an offense and them trying to spread them around. How hard is that transition for you? Going from a 2 to being the centerpiece guy. We saw it in Seattle last year. They got rid of DK Metcalf, right? Metcalf turned into JSN turned into this star. Does Devonta have that kind of capability and star power to be that guy?
All right, it's all by scheme and formation variation. Clint Kubiak did it. I'm not taking anything away from JSN. I mean, he did it with Ryan Grubb, the fired offense coordinator who ran an 11 personnel offense. That's another story for another time, but that was hilarious how the guy comes in here, kicks. I don't know the guy, so I'm not stumping for him, but he kicks ass and they fire him after 1 year because the head coach, who's very good, the guy just won a Super Bowl, doesn't get on the same page with his OC about the run game. Like when you have a defensive head coach and you've got a pass-happy coordinator, why would you think it was going to work?
Right.
That's just bad communication. But it's a pet peeve of mine when coaches don't talk to each other, or they clearly don't research each other. Like they don't know. But JSN's done it now with 2 different offenses. He's phenomenal. But Clint Kubiak, you got to give Clint Kubiak credit, who's now the Raiders head coach. Old school West Coast offense. Understanding who JSN is and is not, getting the guy open, and he's a great route runner in and out of his breaks, just phenomenal. He's stronger. It's hard to explain. JSN's not like Devonta. Devonta runs better, way better, but JSN's a little bit stronger. I know people will talk about Devonta's definitely stronger than his listed size, but the play style is different. They're totally different play style. But getting back to your question, I don't see Devonta as that guy, but he doesn't have to be, because with Mekhi Lemon, who's their first round pick, will be their slot receiver. He could play the Z position, Devonta's position, but it'll be mostly a slot. When they're 11 personnel, Wicks has got the size. When they want a shot play guy, that's Hollywood Brown. Oh, by the way, you've got Dallas Goedert. Eli Stowers is a freak athlete. They've got enough, Dan, in their pass target group. You make a good point. He's probably going to he has to get double team more because AJ Brown's gone. AJ Brown is the size protector. So you take him away. You don't really have that guy on the outside, but there are ways to alleviate. And by the way, a lot of the big thing now with young tight ends, Zach Ertz did it. Goddard did it. They'll line up at the X position. I'm sure they'll have Stowers at X. Almost every NFL team will do it occasionally, use their tight end as an X receiver. And that's another way to alleviate it. It's a little bit of a problem, but I'll tell you this. I learned this from John DiFilippo. He's a former Eagles quarterbacks coach. And then John told me when he was with Cleveland, he saw what he had. So I remember I went to their training camp in 2015. I'm like, dude, I said, John, it's not a criticism, but I don't know how you're going to make this work. Because you got Gary Barnes, who runs slower than I do. Gary Barnes wound up being a Pro Bowler that year. Dwayne Bowe, who was a little bit overweight. Andrew Hawkins is 5'6". Hawkins has been a good story development, and Taylor Gabriel maybe, but John by scheming guys open, understanding what they bring. John always would joke he made Gary Barnes a lot of money. Gary Barnes wound up being a Pro Bowler. He would always been a third string tight end, wide tight end. You make do, Dan. You know this as a football player, whether you're playing on defense schematically. You give me who you want. Give me whoever you give me. I'm going to make it work. So I've learned my lesson. Like, you can't keep blaming front offices for what they have. Okay, some front offices have to do a better job, but the coaches have to do the best they can with what they're given. That's on coaching too.
Are you more concerned about life with Sean Mannion or life without Jeff Stoutland?
Oh boy, it's a great question. They're both concerns. Chris Cooper is a veteran O-line coach who was brought up in the West Coast system with Shanahan. I covered him many years ago. Fangio, he worked with Vic in Denver. I still don't see the great player development with Minnesota. There's been some, not enough. You could say you want about what you want about Stoutland, how it ended. Last year was bad for the run game, but that's how much is it's impossible to objectively figure out what other than them beaten up. Was it the offensive line scheme? Jeff was not responsible for putting the running backs in. That's Jamal Singleton's issue.
Yeah.
And that's his challenge is running back coaches work the rotation. The run scheme is by the offensive coordinator and obviously the O-line coach, is the run game coordinator, but it's not solely one person. But I'm still the one thing that Stoutland did best I've seen in my career. Mouse McFadden was pretty good. I'd have to look at my O-line coaches. The late great Alex Gibbs, father of zone blocking, as you know.
Kirkpatrick. I mean, the guy in San Francisco all them years out there.
Yeah, I know you're talking about, but Stoutland,
Skarnecki up in New
yeah.
England.
Oh yeah, Scar's great, but I would say Stoutland, off the top of my head, top five in NFL history. Player development.
Yeah,
he's not perfect. There've been a couple misses which he was involved in, but hit at least in the last 20 years, it's almost unmatched in terms of player development.
Let's do this here too. When we bring up Hollywood Brown, Dontavian Wicks, Elijah Moore, Devonta Smith, and
he's gonna have a hard time. Real quick, Elijah Moore, and I'm a big Elijah Moore fan. He's gonna have
the team.
I just don't see it because he's not a special teams player. Darius Cooper gives him specials. He gives him special teams value. I just want to throw that in there because he's on the outside looking and keep going.
So you don't see a place for him. Okay, that's fair. But the one thing that I've been critical of Jalen Hurts is that this guy struggles in reading defenses. This guy struggles at finding his landmarks. This guy doesn't have a check down game. The check down game is what makes Brady and Mahomes the different special guys. You know, they keep telling me about deep passes. Deep passes, Brady was 1 year in his career where he did that, when he had that 50 touchdown passing season. Other than that, it's check down Charlie. I don't think Hurts can read a defense. All these pieces that they've added, he doesn't throw on time, Adam. How are they going to put him in a position to be successful when the guy's skill set is more towards the 22, Jalen Hurts?
Yes. You're talking about the downfield passing offense. Here's what I would say. It's not a rebut of what you're saying. You're not wrong in any of it. I look at isolate because people ask me, can he do it? I say yes. Will he do it? I said, I don't know that. I'm just saying, you're asking me, can he do it? Yes. You take isolated throws. I look at the Green Bay game, the Brazil game, Kellen Moore's first game. He was absolutely phenomenal. And so was Moore. Moore ran actually his offense. One of the few times he was actually able to run it with Hurts. And the Atlanta game, Hurts, I don't know what happened. He just lost it. He just was awful in that game. That was the Monday night game, week 2. But you see isolated games or isolated throws. The Charger game, we had the 2 turnovers on one play.
Yeah.
4 turnovers in that game. He made that throw. I called it an angry man throw to Devonta. It's his best throw of his career. You have to, it's inside football. You have to see. It's just one of those special throws. You go, he doesn't make throws like that, but he can do it, Dan. To move this along here, he's capable of doing it, but you have to do it consistently, or that this offense, more than anything, Dan, will not work. This West Coast offense, unless you throw on time. You will not get away. Like Kellen Moore, like theoretically, every offense has timing in it. Kellen Moore's was more, knowing Kellen a little bit, what he wanted to run was heavy 11 personnel, some 10 personnel if he had enough receivers. That's what he ran in with the Chargers and with Dallas at times. But with Philly, plus he had obviously Saquon Barkley. The Eagles got away with what they got away with because Barkley had the best season in NFL history from beginning to end. And their offensive line was elite,
insane,
right? The best we've ever seen. But it shows you when it calls for the quarterback to carry them, he cannot do it. That's the problem. It's the timing issue. I just believe you're not what you said. You're not wrong, but there are instances when he's done it.
Yeah,
like I'll give you an example of. People think like Dan and I are trying to be negative. I mean, I'll just give you an example of how many players who know football who played it. I heard Irving Fryer on 2 years ago. The great Irving Fryer, former Eagle, Dolphin, grew up in this area, played pretty damn well at that position. They had him in, I think they had Irvin's studio, and I happened to be listening that day. And they asked him about Hurts. He goes, oh, well, he doesn't like to throw the ball over the middle or on time, but blah, 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 blah. So he respected his toughness and all this stuff. I was like, whoa, he actually said it. He went on the record and said, Hurts doesn't like to play that way, like the way you're supposed to play quarterback. You see Dan Orlovsky will defend Hurts. He thinks it's too, but they don't tell the truth. And then you see what Chris Sims sometimes a little bit over the top. But my problem with Hurts is, to move this along here, he's never shown the consistency for throwing the ball in time. And I'm just telling you, if he doesn't, it'll never work with this offense. There's no chance it'll work. This is old school West Coast.
I'm with you. You're trying to put a Bill Walsh offense in with that guy? That's not going to happen, man. It's just no way. I get in these gigantic debates, Adam, about Nick Sirianni. Now, maybe it's because I've been kind of spoiled by Jimmy Johnson. Hire the coaches, hire the talent, let the coaches empower, bring every single thing, and he's got his thumb on every single thing he does. Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, all of these guys have complete autonomy. I'm still trying to figure out what Sirianni's job is. He has no say in the personnel. The coordinators, he's really at the behests of whether or not they're good or bad. You hire another guy who's never been a play caller back-to-back years. That doesn't sound very brilliant to me. And then I turn around and I go, when there was a problem in San Francisco, my coach has to be a problem solver. When there's bad things going on, he's got to answer the problems. I saw a JV 49er team beat them with no answers.
That was bad.
That just put in my mind, when things are south, I don't see it. When things are going well, he's a pretty damn good front runner. You tell me if I'm wrong.
All right. He's a good coach. He's a good coach. I know a lot about him through other coaches. I've talked to Nick twice, but I don't know if he remembers when he was a Colts assistant. I like to talk to coaches, young coaches who are up and coming, when I travel, but I don't know the guy. But I know a lot about him. I know that he was pretty immature when he joined the Colts as a non-play calling OC. It's kind of like his one coach who really likes Nick a lot. I know they're friends. Said he had to learn how to be an OC that's not calling plays. He didn't quite understand the responsibilities of it. It's not the first one.
Frank Reich loves him.
Loves him, right? But he had to learn. He wasn't calling plays then. Nick could not call plays. He had to learn. With Frank's offense, he had to learn how to run it or to help him because what you do is Mike Rowe told me. I asked Mike one time in my travels. I forget who he might be with the Bears. I don't remember, but I said to Mike, if you're not calling plays, how do you do it? Because he was the Eagles play caller here, but Doug was calling the plays, I think. But he said that your job is to gather all the game plans from the position coaches, and you have to understand that. But now, when you're the head coach, you're not doing that. Even if when you're not calling the plays, you're the head coach. You're a CEO. You now have time to look at the defense. You have time to sit in position rooms, like Tom Coughlin, a coach that worked for Tom for many years, told me, my God, he could coach the defense or offense. That's how smart he was. Dan, he could go in every meeting. He was a receivers coach. He'd done that for Parcells, but he knew enough about the defense to run it. And you're constantly gathering information. But the one thing I have a problem with, Nick, this has been my sort of pet peeve. It's on what you're talking about. So I don't know if you know this. After the Buffalo game, they barely beat Buffalo in that bad weather storm. But he talked about how that game they had trouble getting plays in, and there was it's when they didn't score a point in the second half. And he was asked by the media, which was, I forget the exact way that it was phrased, it was a great question about did you try to help Kevin Patullo? He goes, I'm trying to coach the team. I hear you, but I'm trying to do this. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is why you have a senior offensive assistant. An SOA is there to be what you talked about, be the voice of reason. When there's some chaos, help you out. Kevin Stefanski told me many years ago when he hired Kevin Rogers, who was his a confidant in Minnesota when Kevin was the OC. He wanted someone that was done, trying to be a head coach or a coordinator. He wanted someone who's been there and done that, who could get in his ear and help him out. Be a chief of staff. Kevin was his chief of staff before he got promoted. Kevin Patullo was for Nick. And that's what Nick missed. And by the way, that's not what Gerard Johnson's doing. He's a special practice coach. This is still a problem. Like, this is something for folks who, if you really want to get inside the game, on what Dan brought up, he nailed it. Nick, for all that, he's got time. Like, there are no excuses now. You're the head coach. You're the CEO. You're not. It's not even your offense anymore. There are no more excuses. You should be able to manage all these little fires like that. He's got to be better with.
Finally, here, Jaylen Carter. So am I to believe this next year? I mean, I wonder what his job security is if he comes in with another down season or he comes in with another wobbly year. Are you going to give that player $35 million? Because I was told last year they moved off of Josh Sweat and Milton Williams because they had somebody they had to pay this year. Well, the only guy they've paid has been Jordan Davis, and they went out of the building and put another 3 on the table after surrendering a 3 for Jalen Phillips. They put another 3 on the table to go get Jonathan Grenard. Okay, fair enough, but you put $25 million on the table too. Where's this Jaylen Carter extension? Do you think the Eagles have? Do you think the Eagles have paused and said, "Let's see what he does in 26"?
No, I'd be surprised if he doesn't get a deal done before week 1 this year. I really would.
Oh, okay. So you think maybe after June 1, after the AJ scenario's taken
I mean, they're going to get some cap relief. Well, actually, they're going to get a cap hit, but they're going to lessen it by making the trade after June 1. But yeah, they want to get something done. They want to get something done. I'll tell you what, we in our reporting Inside the Birds, we unfortunately nailed this one. We said, we went through the character stuff after the draft. All that stuff was well known, but I said, guys, we just need to know this. He's got a shoulder problem, which clubs felt that he would have for most of his career. It wouldn't shorten it probably, but it'd be recurring.
Huh.
I don't know what the hell it is. I'm not sure. He had during the he had the shots and he had the PRP probably.
He had like the silicone injections.
Yeah, but we don't know what. I don't know if it's a labor. I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah,
I just know that when Jeff and I exchanged notes, he's like, "What do you have?" And I told him. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Your stuff's stronger than mine." But I said it wasn't going to hurt. The Eagles knew this, but every team, so folks know that they all share medical information. They all know this. But there was a question: is it going to make him leave games early? Yes. Like the Chicago game, or not be effective? Yes. So, but he got the shots. He's building his shoulders back up. Keep an eye on it, though. Keep an eye on it. Now, for some reason, Dan, on your question, to finish this part, if they don't wind up doing an extension, which would really be surprising, there's your answer about where they think his shoulders are.
That's right here. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you out the way here. A.J. Brown. I've been talking to Alonzo Highsmith up there in
Tom, I said hi, man. I love him, good dude.
Love High, man. We were football teammates at the University of Miami, so we know each other 40 years. And he's been telling me since day one they offered a 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
You still think it's New England? I'm hearing a lot more teams now have parachuted in, but you think it's New England?
Yeah. Here, this is what I know. As I told you, I think I told you last time. Well before Vrabel was hired, the Patriots called the Eagles. They wanted A.J. Brown then. Okay.
Yep.
They won him. Vrabel, they're like Elliott Wolf. Yes, he wanted him years ago before Vrabel got there. You had Vrabel, Elliott Wolf. There are 2 or 3 other coaches from the Vrabel staff are with him in Tennessee. They all know AJ. I'll give you a good nugget for Patriot fans if they're watching this, if he gets there. There was one Titan source that told me, and there was just not a shot at Ryan Tannehill at all. They love Ryan Tannehill. The leader was AJ Brown, not Ryan Tannehill. That's only one person's opinion. Now, that was a different time. That was with a different team. He was the passing game, nobody else. And then it was Derrick Henry and their defense until everything went south. But AJ Brown is a very interesting guy. He's a great football player, good person, but he's a little bit misunderstood. That you should have me on after the trade's done. There's some stuff I'm not going to.
I would love, but by the way, though, to your point, if you look at his pre-draft profile, it says right in there, in his pre-draft profile, will be less engaged if he's not a focal point in an offense. And when that was the evaluation of him coming out of Ole Miss,
or not getting the ball,
he would lose interest in the offense. And you know what? That was 2018. So you shouldn't be shocked because that's who the zebra is. Zebras don't change their stripes when it comes to that kind of mentality. That's not going to change.
He's a really good teammate. It's a shame, but some people, as a football player, we all have motivation. Whatever it takes for you to do your thing.
You want the win to come through you.
Yeah, he, and it's funny. The guaranteed money in his contract is pretty much gone after the season. There's a very small guarantee next year. It's enough where had he bid on the Eagles, let's say for some shocking reason they didn't trade him after the season, he couldn't be an Eagle unless he got a new deal because he was no way he'd stand for it. There's no way. I looked at this contract 3 or 4 months ago when I first felt like this could really happen for sure. Like when I was sold, it was around the combine. I was like, he's gone. I had enough information last year to feel like it's probably going to happen. Didn't know for sure, but I felt for sure after the combine, yes, this is going to happen. Couldn't tell you when. And then when I got the contract, I was like, wow, 27. Where's the guaranteed money? So that's another thing Elliot Wolf might have to deal with, but that's another story. You need to get him first.
Absolutely. Adam, you have a great Memorial Day
All right,
week, and you are such a friend, and I can't thank you enough.
No problem.
You're always finding time for me. Thank you, my friend. Tell the folks how they can find you, please.
Yeah, Jeff Mosher and I on Inside the Birds. We're doing our Eagles schedule series. We're going by quarters. We dropped the first one, the first 4 games of their thing. Some people said I was a Commanders fan. I'm not. I just think they're going to bounce back. I just think they're going to bounce back. People think I'm out of my mind. The odds makers don't agree with me. That's okay. But no, we do that. This is our 9th year with our business. We appreciate the support. And yeah, Inside the Birds is our pod, and see what else. And I'll have some job stuff coming, hopefully by July to announce. So we'll see what happens.
Love you, man. Thank you so much,
You
Adam.
got
I
it.
so
Be well.
appreciate you. Have a great holiday.
You too. See you.
You got it. Adam Kaplan, our friend. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Do me a favor. You have yourselves a great Memorial Day. I'll be back with you on Tuesday. You have yourself a great one. When you see someone in our services, please shake their hands. 2 to 6 on Tuesday. Happy Memorial Day to all of you. Hit the like button. We'll see you on the flip side.